Chapter 11:12, Void Walk. Chapter 11:12, Void Walk. Who cares about some powerhouse? What plane? What shadow idea? Don't say anything. Let me blast you with a shot first. The true dragon on the dragon coffin surged, sending out a stream of energy. It was like a laser beam. The mysterious giant face looked at the incoming powerful beam of light and laughed maniacally. Ha ha! The strength of main artifacts are indeed formidable. He could feel the irresistible power of the beam. Facing such power, he did not try to defend at all, because any defense in front of the main artifact was like a chicken or dog's, an existence that instantly ruptured. There was no one in this world who could resist the power of main artifact, unless it was the main artifact's defensive equipment. The mysterious giant face could not resist it, but he did not resist it either. Instead, his face was filled with excitement because when he saw the strength of the main artifact, he felt an incomparable amount of strength and was incomparably excited for this kind of strength. Because the enormous illusory face was only one of his ideas, and his real face knew of all of this. It did not matter if Idea died. Next, his real face would personally come and would definitely not give Long Fei the chance to use the dragon coffin. The mysterious giant face laughed out loudly and said, "Brat, just you wait. Ha ha. The main artifact is mine. You only killed one of my idea. The moment my real face descends, your Long Fei's death will be the day your dragon clan will be annihilated." Long Fei contemptuously said, "You're still so arrogant? If Lousy can teach you a lesson, I can." He did not finish his words. Long Fei stopped and blurted out a curse. F***. What the hell is going on? The beam of light did not pierce the enormous face. He merely shot out towards a void beside him. Long Fei was dumbstruck. He can even miss? What kind of bullsh**t main artifact is this? An imposter? F***CKU. Do you want to cheat Lousy like this? Long Fei was completely dumbfounded. The giant illusory face occupied half of the sky, and it could actually miss? This is called a main gun? Even if it was a fart, it wouldn't miss. Ha! Ha ha! The mysterious giant face laughed maniacally, almost to the point of pooping. "Brat, I'm 100% sure now that you're just a tease." Ha! It was hard to imagine. The sky was filled with enormous faces, and they were able to miss just like that. It had to be said that the death of Main Gun was extremely awesome, to the point that no one could understand what it was. Long Fei really wanted to smash this dragon coffin into pieces if possible. It was just that, in that instant, his idea connected to the main gun S that had been shot out just now, and his expression became cold. I passed through the Chaos Realm. He passed through the Azura Realm. Transmigrated. He can cross planes. How far can we fight? What is he trying to do? Long Fei was a little confused. Indeed, it was shot from far away through the gods' martial continent, the Chaos Realm, and the Azura Realm. Wherever it went, nothing could stop it, not even the laws of the planar. But what's the use? If he couldn't kill them, even if he could shoot them from afar, it would be of no use. Suddenly, Long Fei's heart tightened, entering the divinity. In the Chaos Realm, it only pierced through the void, but it did not enter the Chaos Realm. In the Azura Realm, it did the same thing. Is it going to fall? That's not right. That's not right. Long Fei continuously shook his head, and his entire person began to become inexplicably excited as he muttered, This. Could it be that they are going for Real Face's side? This. Long Fei was stunned once again. Suddenly, Brat, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? You. His real face felt a powerful force charge towards him. It was the power of the main gun that was being shot out from the gods' martial continent. Inside a huge cave, an old man was stunned. Just a second ago, he was smiling excitedly, but this second, he felt like death was coming. No. It's not like that. It can't be like that. Rumble. The main gun bullets pierced through a huge mountain range and shot out, directly smashing into the cave he was in, causing the sky to suddenly sink. The entire divinity was trembling. Rage. Countless powerhouse appeared out of thin air. They were all awoken by this powerful force. The power of the main artifact. The power of the main artifact. Who? Who? Who obtained this main artifact? Could it be that the primordial divine war is about to begin? It's the cave of the absolute God, heavenly monarch. He is the super powerhouse of the divinity. Why would the main artifact attack him? Where did the main artifact's power come from? What did the God of heaven do? He seems to be one of the people who launched the war against the Dragon Clan back then. Could it be the people of the Dragon Clan had come back for revenge? Or could it be that the dragon race really has a main artifact? The whole divinity was in an uproar. It was also at this moment. The powerful main gun exploded on the head of the ultimate God, Heavenly Lord. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Powerful energy covered tens of millions of km as powerful shockwaves shot out. The entire mountain range, stretching for tens of millions of km, became flat in that instant. All living beings within this range were instantly killed. No one reacted immediately. Whether it was humans or beasts, they were all the same. This kind of main artifact's power was enough to destroy the heaven and earth. Such terrifying power. On the other hand, the supreme God, heavenly monarch's body was instantly destroyed, his primordial spirit shattered, his idea-s, consciousness and consciousness completely ruptured, causing the millions of idea-s he had created to truly shatter one after another. Boom, boom, boom. God's martial continent. The enormous illusory face trembled, crazily roaring, "No, no, no." At this moment, Long Fei was stupefied. He was completely dumbfounded. Looking at the dragon coffin beside him, he was so shocked that he couldn't say a single word. Too fierce. Locking onto the idea, he directly attacked Real Face. Furthermore, the damage they caused. The word fierce could no longer be used to describe it. Long Fei looked at the trembling afterimage and laughed. Don't you king evolve into millions of idea? Aren't you arrogant? Aren't you the super powerhouse of divinity? Can you be even more king awesome? Can you? Long Fei roared each word, as his entire person was immersed in a kind of ecstasy. Looking at the enormous illusory face that was shrinking, his heart grew even more excited. The supreme God of the divinity. How strong was this boss? What would it burst out? I'm looking forward to it. Chapter 11:13. Deceiving the System. Chapter 11:13. Deceiving the System, Lousy is going to send it. Long Fei rubbed his hands. He was a little impatient. He had never looked forward to this before. The gigantic illusory face was tearing open as it let out a furious roar. Long Fei, this matter will not end like this. The main artifact has already been exposed. Just you wait. Long Fei said, "Die then." Boom. The illusion shattered. The system beep rang. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing gods and Heavenly Lord, for obtaining 1 billion experience, 1 billion power of celestial value, and 10 ability points. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing countless divinity demon beast, obtaining 19 billion experience, 100 million power of celestial points, and 100,000 energy values. 2 notifications. Not one more. Long Fei quietly waited for another half a minute, but he still did not hear a notification sound at all. Immediately, Long Fei was displeased. Damn you, system. What are you doing? Divinity's super boss. Does it have anything other than experience? Are you kidding me? Divinity's boss. Suddenly, a mess started to appear. This kind of boss level to Long Fei was comparable to the heavens, but not even a fart. This was acceptable. Long Fei cursed loudly. System, give me an explanation. If not, I will curse your 18 generations of ancestors. It was too hard. Long Fei thought that he was going to make a fortune, but there was nothing. Wasn't this playing a joke on him? Ding. System notification. The main artifact's power is too strong. Once the target is attacked, everything on the target will turn into ashes. Besides experience, the target will not be able to obtain anything else. Ding. System notification. The main artifact bombardment players can only get experience. Long Fei was speechless. However, this had happened before as well. Due to the sheer force of the blow, the target was turned into smithereens. As a result, nothing could explode from the blow, but Long Fei really couldn't accept it. Long Fei said, "System, can't you do this? I spent 5 domain treasures to kill a boss, and the main artifact didn't have any special instructions on it. Furthermore, I have locked onto one of his idea, but killed the real face for me. No can do. You have to compensate me." "I have to compensate you. That's all. To kill such a strong boss. Don't you have a reward?" Since the system had given an explanation, then Long Fei had to haggle over the price. Otherwise, he would not be Long Fei. System. Silence. At this moment, a system notification rang out. Ding! Congratulations to the player, Long Fei, for obtaining a special reward for using the main artifact for the first time. The reward item is, please open the dragon coffin. Long Fei immediately followed along. Opening the dragon coffin, he found a weapon quietly lying inside the dragon coffin. A knife. A mad knife. It was a wild blade that was emitting a tyrannical divine intent. A raging blade that Long Fei liked at first glance. It was stronger than Dragon Salyer, and more exquisite than Zhuge's sword. Long Fei gently picked it up. The system sounded out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Absolute God Slash of the True Dragons. Item: Absolute God Slash of the True Dragon Grade. Attack. Description: the sword contains the power of 3 elements: the True Dragon, the Ultimate God Heavenly Lord, and the Burning Heaven. Description 2. The release of power requires a powerful blade intent. Description 3. Not restricted by the power of law. Long Fei gripped the blade heavily. The blade's body released a loud noise. And in that moment, Long Fei's heart suddenly changed, as if he had turned into a berserk blade. They were all ants, arrogant beyond compare. Long Fei was excited, but in his heart, he was slightly satisfied. At this time, the system sounded out once again. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for opening the first layer of main artifact. The conditions to open the second level is unknown. Chaos Realm is looking for him. Activating the second layer's function, transformation. He can transform. Long Fei's eyes trembled. Could it be that you can create a beautiful female warrior? Ha ha ha. If the first layer can turn the divinity into dregs, then how strong is his second layer's power? Enter the Chaos Realm? You must enter. Absolutely. Long Fei began to get excited. Another notification rang out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for reaching the Great Perfection stage. Do you want to summon the Heavenly Tribulation? 100 billion experience directly allowed Long Fei to break through his limit. He had reached the peak of the 9th level of the Flying Immortal stage in an instant, and his experience bar was about to explode. His current cultivation level had reached the highest level in God's martial continent. In other words, he could now summon the Heavenly Tribulation to transcend it. Only after going through the baptism of Heavenly Tribulation would one be able to break through the void and enter a better plane. This was a restriction of the law. If one was unable to cleanse the power of the original plane, then it would be difficult to achieve something even if one entered a higher plane. Martial art cultivation would be restricted. Strength is cowardly. This was also the rule of the plane. To cultivate was to go against the heavens. To break through a level, one had to be baptized by the heavenly punishment. One had to resist the heavenly punishment. However, very few out of 10,000 people had successfully transcended the tribulation. Because the god's suffering force was fierce. The more killing there was, the stronger it would be, and few would be able to withstand it. The tombs of the powerhouse in the necropolis of the God Emperor were enough to explain everything. Perhaps there were people who had successfully transcended the tribulation, but it was definitely extremely rare. If tribulation was easy, then Gutong Tian would not have to worry about his life, and there would not be so many flying fairy stronger men gathered here. They were all afraid of the power of the celestial tribulation. They didn't even dare to try. Huff! Long Fei was silent for a moment, and then said to himself, "Now is not the time." Long Fei looked at the cloud vortex in the distance, and lines of golden light flickered. What kind of power was this? The destructive power of the dragon race. What was it? Long Fei didn't know, but he knew that he could only choose to rush to the Nantian region. Long Fei used all his strength and quickly rushed to Nantian region. The sky exploded. Golden light wreaked havoc in the nine heavens as streams of power bombarded the entire god's martial continent. Is this the calamity of the dragon race? I once heard Big Brother Long Fei mention that this calamity is going to swallow the entire god's martial continent. Yennefer began to feel the power within this tribulation. In just that short moment, she spat out a mouthful of blood. He couldn't bear the power that exceeded her limits. Yennefer. Song Qianqian protected Yennefer. Yennefer shook her head. "I'm fine. The power of this tribulation is just too strong. I can't sense the source of my power at all. Sister Qianqian, what should we do now?" Linglong said lightly, "Yennefer, what can you see?" Yennefer looked at them. Now, Jojo and the others knew that Yennefer had the prophet blood vein and could see some things that would happen in the future. Yennefer's eyes lit up. Chapter 11:14, Unparalleled. Chapter 11:14, Unparalleled. Ever since I met Big Brother Long Fei, I have not used the prophet blood vein to look into the future. However, at this point, Yennefer couldn't hold it in any longer. She wanted to know what would happen in the future. She wanted to know how Long Fei was doing now. The power within the prophetic blood vein started to surge as her pupils suddenly enlarged. Her body sank and fell onto the ground paralyzed, as if she had received some kind of powerful impact. Big Brother Long Fei. No way. His face was extremely pale, and his entire body was trembling. His lips began to tremble as he said, "No, no, no." He kept chanting. It was as if he was frightened by a powerful force. His eyes glazed over. Song Qianqian hugged Yennefer, gently patting her back. It's fine, everything's fine, everything's fine." From the look on Yennefer's face just now, their hearts had sunk. Needless to say, they knew that Yennefer had seen something terrifying. At this moment, Jojo clenched his fists and walked out. "Sister Jojo, where are you going?" the leopard girl asked. Jojo glanced at the dark sky outside and muttered, "I won't allow anyone to harm young master." After which, he walked out. The leopard girl's eyes were filled with wildness as she followed Jojo out and said, I definitely won't let anyone hurt my husband." The three Luashi sisters walked out. "We will definitely not let anyone hurt Long Fei. Stinking hooligans can only be bullied by us. We can't bully anyone else." The power of the vermilion bird on Linglong's body moved and said, "Senior Brother Long Fei, I want to protect you." "Man to all you owe," Xiaoling walked out. Song Qianqian pulled Yennefer up and said, "Yennefer, you're right here." With a move of the lunar divine sword in her hand, she also charged out. Within the Dragon Palace, the expressions of the remaining people were downcast. They were all trembling from the crushing pressure of the Dragon Clan's calamity. They couldn't withstand such a powerful force. Suddenly, Xiaobai roared and said with a heavy tone, "Are we not even equal to a woman? What are you afraid of? If worse comes to worst, I'll die." Xiaobai broke through the suppression of his mind caused by the calamity and instantly became irritable, his body instantly transforming into an incomparably large, fierce wolf. His body released the might of a divine beast. Binghua looked at the dragon's soul pool. He really wanted to jump in and become stronger. However, right now, the dragon's soul pool was thirsty and devoid of anything. This was his hope. Since I am destined to not be able to become the high and mighty dragon god, and am destined to be unable to take shortcuts, then I will walk forward step by step. One day, I will roam the wild universe. As one side of the ice and fire was scarlet red, while the other side was ice Shuana Bai, they both spread their wings and flew out. Next, Dao Ba and the others also threw caution to the wind. He walked out with large strides. In an instant, everyone in the Dragon Hall left. Facing Gu Tong Tian, they had never been afraid, because Gu Tong Tian was only a single person. Even if he wasn't an opponent, as long as they could find his weakness, they would still be able to defeat him. But now they weren't facing people. It was the tribulation of the Dragon Clan. What catastrophe! They did not know that the fear of the unknown was stronger than any fear. Buzz! The phoenix blood vein in Jojo's body moved, and a seven-colored light overflowed. As it moved its body, it looked like it had turned into a phoenix fairy flying above the Dragon Palace. Raising his head to look at the deep whirlpool of clouds, he said heavily, "Come at me. If you have any powerful energy, then charge at me." She was a different person. His eyes were filled with determination. Jojo secretly thought, "Young master, I won't let anyone hurt you. I definitely won't," Jojo swears. Rumble. The sky darkened as a powerful force bombarded down from within a vortex. As though it was a punishment for the words Jojo had just said, the power on Jojo's body surged, forming into a strong phoenix power as it collided against the power. At this moment, the leopard girl's javelin moved and shot out. The exquisite rose-finch blood vessel. Song Chantian's strength as a woman of the nine heavens. The strength of the three Luoshi sisters. Everyone gathered their power into a single point, heavily blocking the attack. Walala, rumble. The two forces collided, and the sky seemed as though it was going to explode at any moment. It was incomparably intense. The entire dragon domain was trembling. Rays of energy shot out from the sky, covering millions of kilometers. It was as if the sky was about to split open. Everyone in the entire God's Marshall continent was looking up at the sky. A 3-year-old child, a 100-year-old man, a warrior, and a powerhouse. They were all looking up at the sky, their hearts trembling as they simultaneously prayed. No one could withstand such power. If a wave of force struck down, the entire God's Marshall continent would be penetrated, and the entire plane would be destroyed. All of them would die. Faced with the power of this tribulation, humans seemed incomparably small and insignificant. Too small. Has it begun? Has the storm begun? Long Fei used all of his strength and rushed over like lightning. Looking at the energy exploding in the distance, his heart started to worry. Don't do anything stupid. Hurry up. Level 10. Buzz. Long Fei fought with his life on the line. However, the distance between Immortal Domain and himself was unknown. Even if he used all his strength to get there, he would still need time. It was not something that could be reached in the blink of an eye. Boom! Jojo was flung out, causing the people behind her to all fly backwards, retreating quickly. Xiaobai took a step forward, and the strong wolf god's body moved. Roaring into the sky, the huge force lowered itself and said to the sky, "Come." The spear of the wolf god. A huge wolf shadow appeared in the sky and stabbed down with a huge and thick spear. Not even waiting for the spear to fall, even the shadow of the wolf god was crushed. Xiaobai spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated. As soon as the ice and fire wings opened, they shot up to the sky. Ice and fire, 9 heavens. Rumble, rumble. When ice and fire interweaved, each layer was more powerful than the previous one. Boom! Within the vortex, a stream of energy bombarded down. An even stronger power of fire and ice crushed down. In front of it, the power of ice and fire was like that of an ant. Bam! The flames and ice were sent flying. Again, everyone was unwilling to accept this outcome. He once again released all his power and once again charged up. But, in less than half a second, he was sent flying once again. Moreover, they did not even know the source of their power. So what was the golden light in these vortexes? I don't know. What exactly is this destructive power? I don't know. He couldn't stop it at all. Yinner stood at the side and cried loudly. Big Sister Jojo, you can't go all out. If you go on, you'll all die, so don't go all out anymore. Die. When Jojo heard the word dead, her eyes suddenly moved. In that instant, the phoenix power on Jojo's body turned into flames, flew into the sky with a single step, and charged into the vortex of the clouds. Chapter 11:15, Jojo Nirvana. Chapter 11:15, Jojo Nirvana. Sister Jojo, what do you want to do? Jojo! Jojo! The girls were shouting, but they could not keep up with her speed. The power of a phoenix blood vein could not be compared with a normal blood vein. Jojo looked at them from the back and said, "Tell young Master Long Fei that he will not regret following him." Finished. Her figure changed. Woo! A miserable scream came out, and then Jojo's body turned into a real phoenix. She was rushing toward the center of the whirlpool. At this moment, her body was emitting an incredibly pure and holy power. What a pure soul! I have never seen such a pure and holy soul. I think it appeared last time as well. However, this soul is even more interesting than the last one. It's even a phoenix blood vein. One by one, discussions broke out in the golden areas within the thick clouds. They were all stunned. Because of Jojo's soul, everyone in this world had their own selfish desires and desires. This also caused everyone's soul to have some impurities, so it would not affect their cultivation. However, to Powerhouse of a higher plane, it was different. They needed this sort of incomparably pure and holy power, because every single one of these powers could give them a powerful boost. Thus, they were all shocked. However, a voice called out, "No matter how pure or holy your power is, it can't stop us today. We have to punish the dragon race in the heaviest way. Because they deserve it. This is their punishment for stealing the main artifact. It's time for them to perish." Boom! The sky darkened, and a thick vortex of clouds started to swirl as endless golden light flickered. Streams of powerful energy rushed towards Jojo. Jojo was frantically absorbing the energies. Jojo's body continuously flew high into the sky. Boom! Boom! He attacked with all his might. She withstood the force of the impact. In a split second, she broke through the center of the cloud vortex and leapt high into the void. Her body fell to the ground as she looked at the massive whirlpool that was the bell. Suddenly, Jojo looked into the distance and muttered, "Young Master Long Fei, Jojo will be your mate again in the next life." His smile was incomparably brilliant. He was laughing extremely happily. He was laughing like an angel. Jojo's body surged. As he looked at the massive vortex underneath him, he let out a scream. The strongest power of the phoenix energy began to surge. Burn the 9 heavens. Boom! As soon as his voice faded, the flames on Jojo's body suddenly exploded as he fell from the whirlpool of clouds. Wave after wave of energy spread outwards as waves of Nirvana's flame churned. It rotated. The clouds of the first 9-story heaven began to burn. Fire clouds filled the sky. Jojo's body descended once again, and the flames at the 8th floor began to burn. His body descended again. With every layer he descended, the layer of cloud that was swirling around him combusted, filling the sky with fire, from a 9th floor all the way to the 1st floor. And then, the entire sky was burning as endless amounts of phoenix nirvanic energy enveloped the golden light within the clouds, releasing a power that could destroy everything. Burn! It burned furiously. All the living creatures in the gods' martial continent trembled. Everyone stared at the 9 layers of vortex in the sky. Could this calamity be completely destroyed? Everyone was praying. A few seconds later, a crack appeared in the sky, and it suddenly exploded. Thick clouds completely exploded. In this instant, Song Qianqian's eyes became excited. Did it work? Did you block the storm? He definitely succeeded. Sister Jojo, you are too great. You are the greatest. From now on, you will be the big sister, huh? Xiao Tian was so excited that she was dancing with joy. The cloud layer exploded, and all of the power disappeared. This meant that the power of tribulation had been neutralized. Everyone in God's martial continent started to cheer. Ha ha, we're still alive. He managed to withstand the tribulation. It's good to be alive. The power of that fire was so strong that it seemed as though the sky would burn through it. To anyone, it felt like they had been reborn. This feeling was indescribable, and the pressure on their heart was heavily felt. In the air, Jojo smiled. Looking at the surrounding force dissipating, she smiled. But, in this instant, Yinner suddenly shouted loudly, Sister Jojo, be careful. Boom! A golden light crushed down and directly smashed into Jojo's abdomen. With a heavy blow, Jojo's body plummeted to the ground as blood sprayed out from his mouth. In that instant, the sky was golden and the thick clouds had disappeared. However, the disappearance of the clouds did not mean that the calamity had disappeared. They were concealing themselves above the clouds, not wanting others to see them. Now that the clouds had dispersed, there was no need for them to hide anything. All of them were clad in golden armor. It was the same golden color. This was not a boss, not some powerhouse. The aura on their bodies was exactly the same as the person who controlled the golden armor of laws that Long Fei met in the underworld. God's general, the controller of Sky Law, Sister Jojo, eldest sister-in-law. Everyone seemed to have gone crazy at this moment. He was completely stupefied. He couldn't react in time. The high and mighty God's general in the sky had a cold expression and no trace of pity in their eyes. One of the God's general said coldly, "How can a little ant fight against the heavens? You overestimate yourself." Voices filled the entire God's martial continent. All of a sudden, everyone fell from heaven to hell in an instant. Heavens? They were the God's general. They represented the heavens. Everyone felt despair in their hearts. Who in this world could contend against the heavens? Save us. Who's going to save us? Miserable wails rang out. In the air above the Dragon Palace, Jojo no longer had the strength to defend against any attacks. Once released, she would die too. F***CK, your ancestors. Xiao Bai and the ice flame suddenly rushed forward. Boom! Boom! Two streams of power pierced through their bodies, heavily crushing the ground and rendering them unable to move. You're just an ant. Ah! Dao Ba, Wang Qingshan and the rest disregarded everything and rushed forward. Rumble. A stream of power was like a palm that blasted down. Before they could fly up, they were all squashed to the ground, unable to move at all. You're just an ant. Song Qianqian rushed toward Jojo as she wanted to hug him. Not waiting for her to rush up, a surge of power came crashing down, causing all of them to kneel on the ground. A bunch of ants. Everyone looked at Jojo. Jojo fell from the sky, her body still burning like paper. Her body was getting smaller and smaller until it was almost burnt out. Just when everyone was in despair, a figure landed and a power held Jojo back. Not afraid of the flames, she tightly hugged Jojo. The corner of Jojo's mouth curled up and lightly smiled. Young Master Long Fei, you're here. Chapter 11:16. MIS all. Chapter 11:16. MIS all the one who came was Long Fei. I'm late. I'm sorry. Long Fei looked at Jojo's burning body and his heart ached. Jojo shook his head from his embrace and said with a smile, "It's not too late. It's not too late." Laughing. As he smiled happily, it was the first time Jojo had enjoyed the feeling of being in Long Fei's embrace. This feeling was really good, so good that she had to pay for it with everything she had, including her life. Her life slowly weakened. Her consciousness became fainter. His face was filled with happiness as he said in a weak voice while looking at Long Fei, "Young master, I still want to be your servant in the next life. Do you still want me to be your Jojo?" And, yes. Long Fei sobbed uncontrollably, feeling unspeakably uncomfortable in his heart. TL, ugh. He never gave Jojo anything. Jojo was the first person to help him when he arrived in this world. He was the first to take care of him and the first to feel sorry for him. Jojo giggled and said, "Pull the hook." He stretched out his pinky. Long Fei reached out her pinky to catch it. However, not waiting for him to hook onto Jojo's pinky ignited and slowly burned into nothingness. Long Fei still hooked onto it and said silently, "Pull the pinky, don't change. In 100 years, you're just a puppy." Jojo's arm drooped down and crazily burned. It was like a paper man. She looked at Long Fei with a face full of happiness and muttered to Long Fei, "Young master, I will definitely meet you again in the next life." As soon as he finished, she gently closed her eyes, hugged her with all his might. But the closer he got to Jojo, the faster he disappeared, as if he was grabbing onto sand. "No, no, no, no," Long Fei shouted with all his might. "Sister Jojo, Sister Jojo, Jojo." Everyone shouted out loud, and a voice resounded in the air, "Goodbye." Boom! The flames soared into the sky, and Jojo's body instantly disappeared in Long Fei's embrace. At this moment, a crystal-clear phoenix tears dropped from the sky. A phoenix tears after nirvana, landing in Long Fei's hands. Long Fei quietly looked at the phoenix tears and muttered, "Jojo, I will definitely let you come back to life. I definitely will." Since he could rebirth, he would definitely be reborn. It was just that nirvana rebirth required luck, and it was not something that could be reborn after the rebirth. Finished. Long Fei clenched his hands tightly. Holding the phoenix tears tightly in his palm, he carefully placed it inside the space ring, then raised his eyes again and looked at the cold expressions of the gods general in the sky. His anger reached the top of his head. Buzz! With his strength ignited, Long Fei's entire body was engulfed by a burning flame. He stared at a god's general in the sky and asked solemnly, "You touched my woman?" The god's general said coldly, "You think you can stop the sky law just based on ants?" She was asking for it. "Long Fei, your dragon race has committed a grave crime by stealing main artifact S. They are punished by the heavens once every 3 million years, and this is the last time. If you can't withstand it, the dragon race will be removed from a list of the 100,000 wild universe S, never to be reborn. The gods' martial continent you are, and will be turned into ashes." Long Fei laughed coldly and said, "Why should I?" God's general's consciousness exploded all of a sudden as he said seriously, "We represent the heavens. We represent everything. Do you dare to oppose the heavens? Do you dare to go against the heavens?" "Against the heavens. Against the heavens." Long Fei muttered 2 sentences at the corner of his mouth and said slightly, "Why would I not dare? If the heavens want me to die, then I will destroy the heavens. If the heavens want me to die, then I'll let him die first. Let's see who's the *king first." The aura on Long Fei's body became unbridled and arrogant to the extreme. The god's general was also enraged. He shouted, "You dare to say such arrogant words? Are you trying to oppose the heavens? You overestimate yourself. Everything in the world was under the control of the heavens. Be it the warriors, demon beast, or ordinary people, they were all under the control of the heavens. Who could stand above the heavens? Since ancient times, there had never been a single person in the universe. Going against the heavens was beyond redemption." "Ha ha! Ha ha!" Long Fei laughed out crazily. "You overestimate yourself, right? Then I'll let you know what it means to overestimate yourself." Boom! He took a step forward. Long Fei's figure turned into a ball of light and rose from the ground, instantly charging into the sky. "So what if you're a god? If you want to provoke me, then I, the 18 generations of my ancestors, will also take care of it." His right hand moved. Buzz! The absolute god slash of the true dragon landed in his hand. Without waiting for the god's general to react, the blade in his hand slashed down crazily. Every stroke was executed with full force. Every blade strike landed heavily on God's general's body. In midair, golden light shot in all directions as tens of thousands of lights burst out like an explosion, illuminating the air above the god's martial continent. Boom, 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 boom. At this moment, everyone was staring at the battle in midair, their hearts tightly intertwined. Many of them knelt on the ground and silently prayed. He prayed that this calamity would quickly pass. Pray for Long Fei to defeat these gods general. The absolute god slash of the true dragon in Long Fei's hands attacked crazily, roared, and firmly crushed God's general, not giving him any chance to retaliate. However, No matter what power Long Fei used, no matter how hard he tried, the damage that floated above God's general's head was a MIS, and not a single bit of it appeared. It was impossible to chop. It was like a slash on the unbreakable body. Long Fei's attack power could not break the God's general's defense at all. Not at all. 10,000 slashes is miss. 100,000 slashes, 1,000,000 slashes was still an MIS. What kind of existence was the God's general? The heaven's messenger. His strength was indescribable. How could he be his opponent? How could a mortal fight against a god? An ant is always an ant. If I let you bombard me for a year, you wouldn't be able to kill me, the God's general coldly said, without even a disdainful tone, because Long Fei did not even have the qualifications to make him feel disdain. From start to finish, they had never placed Long Fei in their eyes. Even if Long Fei suddenly attacked, the other God's generals did not help, because they knew Long Fei could not kill God's general at all. No one could kill them. This was because they were the heaven's messenger. He was invincible. From the sky to the ground, Long Fei fought with all his might to the sky. Dragon's force, the power of primordial chaos. Unparalleled, he had used all he could, but no, absolutely not. It couldn't even break the God's general's defense. God's general coldly said, "You little ant, it should be my turn now, right?" Chapter 11:17, This Daddy's Turn. Chapter 11:17, This Daddy's Turn. As soon as his voice faded, God's general's body flashed with a golden light. Without waiting for Long Fei's response. Boom! Bang! With a loud sound, Long Fei was instantly shot down from the sky. Rumble! The dragon hall had been smashed down by him, and one dragon totem after another fell down. The entire dragon domain mountain range had been turned into ashes, and the entire Nantian region was swept up by the torrential waves. One move killed millions of kilometers, extremely cruel. However, there was not a single trace of cruelty in his eyes. No matter how many people died, even if he killed billions of people in the entire God's martial continent, he would not blink or frown. They are high gods, a supercilious god. He was a god who viewed all living creatures as ants. What was a mere human worth? Rumble! Rumble! A series of explosions could be heard from afar. Song Qianqian and the others were also forced to lie on the ground by the powerful shock wave. Ice and Fire had enormous wings that wrapped around them. His wings looked like a huge rag. He couldn't even fly now. Boss! Big brother Long Fei. Long Fei. Everyone rushed towards the ruins where Xiang Longfei was buried. Hum. It seems as though this year's forces are the weakest against the storm. It's far worse than the last two times. I had thought that the Dragon Warrior would appear during the third calamity, but now it seems that they're just a bunch of arrogant, overconfident ants. The Dragon Clan is going to die. This is what they deserve. Provoking others is not good, yet provoking the heavens and stealing the main artifact. Isn't this seeking death? Forget it. Don't waste our time. Just let that main artifact and this plane disappear together. This way, the 100,000 planes will have less conflict. The main artifact must not be revealed. No matter what plane the main artifact was in, it could still cause a huge impact. This was precisely the reason why Divinity had such a huge dispute with this item. And this time, Long Fei opened the main artifact, startling the 100,000 planes. Chaos Realm, Azura Realm. Then there was the Divinity, the first of the three planes to bear the brunt of the attack. Especially the Divinity, where the ultimate god was killed and the main artifact opened up in the heart of the Divinity. And that's why the Divinity's ancient battlefield suddenly opened. How many powerhouse would be involved in this? How many powerhouse would be excited because of the main artifact? The consequences are incalculable. Thus, we absolutely cannot let the main artifact appear again. Even if we destroy it, we cannot let it appear again. This was the reason why they had come to God's martial continent this time. Within the ruins, Long Fei looked at the darkness, unable to move an inch, and was about to kill him in one move. It was too uncomfortable. He was not a match for God's general at all. What should we do? What should we do? What other power do I have? What kind of power can contend against God's general? What kind of power is it? Long Fei's mind was spinning. He thought crazily. He crazily checked the system over and over again, but he couldn't find any energy that could resist the God's general. Not at all. The God's general was simply too strong. Give up. Are we really going to accept our fate? Long Fei asked himself in his heart, clenching his fists tightly, even with his nails digging into his flesh. It was as if he did not feel any pain. Suddenly, he punched fiercely and roared loudly. There is no such thing as give up in my dictionary. Rumble. Ruins exploded. Long Fei stood up. He stared at the sky, and the killing intent in his eyes became even stronger. The idea moved. Main artifact. Target locked. Boom. The dragon coffin was summoned by Long Fei, but its energy had been reduced to its lowest, and it no longer had any energy left. Ding! There's not enough energy to use the main gun. The 5 domain treasures could only be used once. Main artifact consumed too much energy. However, Long Fei already knew this. He did not think about starting the main gun's attack either. Staring at the high and mighty God's general in the sky, he said darkly, "If you dare touch my woman, I will destroy your 18 generations of ancestors. If you dare to touch my brother, I will fuck your ancestors for 18 generations. If you dare to touch my Nantian region, I will destroy your 18 generations of ancestors. In short, I, your father, will overturn 18 generations of your ancestors." The killing intent on his body exploded crazily. The God's general's gaze turned cold as he icily asked, "You're just an ant. Who gave you that courage? With just you? Humph! I can crush you with my little finger. What qualifications do you have to fight with me? What's the use of a strong mouth?" However, the God's general squinted his eyes and laughed coldly. "You have successfully angered me, so you're going to die right now." As soon as he finished, his figure disappeared. In this instant, Long Fei grabbed with his right hand, treating the main artifact dragon coffin like a stick. His body slightly sank, gritted his teeth, and muttered, "Success or not will depend on this time." This was the only method Long Fei could think of. Super Scion. Boom. Long Fei transformation. Level 10. Boom. The skill of the Barbarian King. The Barbarian King rushes. Fall for me. Boom, boom, boom. Long Fei's body released a bloody golden light, and waves after waves of roars sounded out from within Long Fei's body as his entire person entered into a state of immunity to death. He had to bear it. Take on one of God's general's attacks, using this as the price, and then when you have the chance to attack him. Whoosh, whoosh. Come on, come up and bite me. Long Fei roared, his right hand tightly holding onto the dragon coffin, waiting for the God's general's attack to come. At this moment, Long Fei's heart was incomparably calm. He had never been as calm as he was now. "You're just an ant. You are far inferior to the dragon ancestors. Go to hell." As soon as his voice faded, a powerful energy enveloped Long Fei's entire body and smashed down heavily. Long Fei stood in place, without moving an inch as his health point crazily decreased. But he just wouldn't die. The rank 1 skill of the Barbarian King had a duration of 1 minute. Regardless of what situation he encountered, he would not die during this 1 minute. Long Fei stood in place, safe and sound, the corners of his mouth curled up with an ice-cold smile. Everyone was shocked, including those God's General S. Why? Then how many times can you take it? Long Fei stood on the spot and allowed him to attack her. And he wouldn't die even if he were to die. God's General? Envoy of Heaven? Heavenly God? I think all of you are just a pile of dog shit. Long Fei said in disdain. At this moment, the God's General landed and slapped Xiang Long Fei. In that instant, Long Fei's pupils moved, and the main artifact dragon coffin behind him smashed down as he said in extreme excitement, "It's my turn." Chapter 11:18, Killing 1 billion experience points. Chapter 11:18, Killing 1 billion experience points. It had always been an attack from high up in the air. Long Fei's speed could not keep up. He had to wait for the God's General to land and attack him. Long Fei was very clear in his heart that God's general would not be able to endure the scorn and ridicule, and he would definitely be angered by himself. Moreover, anyone would feel uncomfortable with the barbarian king's death immunity. If it was Long Fei, he too would be affected. Just as God's general was about to rush down, Long Fei made his move. He used all his strength on this move. There is only one power that could kill God's general, and that was the power of the heavens above them. Since the main artifact was from the heavens, then it definitely contained a powerful power. Of course, Long Fei had guessed all of these things. He was not sure if it would be effective at all, but this was his last strike. If he didn't succeed, there would only be one result: death. The dragon coffin slashed down like an axe. The god's general sneered, "With your little strength?" He had never thought of dodging at all, because he despised all powers. There was no power that could kill them, unless it was the power of their master. However, he hadn't finished speaking. The dragon coffin smashed down. Rumble, rumble. With a huge burst of power, the god's general was like a wooden stake, firmly nailing him to the ground and spitting out a large mouthful of blood. The golden armor on his body was torn apart. Just a moment ago, a scarlet number floated above God's general's head. 999, 999, 9999, almost 100 million points of damage. Explosion. The God's general was instantly stunned, his eyes angrily opened as he stared at Long Fei, unable to react at all. Because it was simply too unbelievable, no one in his body could break through his defense. No one could harm him. How could this be? My defense can't be destroyed by a mere ant. When he was truly stunned, Long Fei laughed and stood in front of God's general. The dragon coffin in his hands moved again and smashed down hard. Aren't you arrogant? Rumble. 999, 999, 9999. Aren't you God General? Rumble. 999, 999, 9999. Aren't you the high and mighty heavenly oracle? Rumble. 999, 999, 9999. Aren't you smug? Didn't you want to kill me? Now come and kill me. Long Fei was arrogant and unrestrained. The dragon coffin in his hands crazily smashed down like a violent storm, not giving God's general any time to catch his breath. Again and again. He roared again and again, but the anger in Long Fei's heart was vented. Everyone was shocked. Even the God's general floating in the air was confused. He couldn't react in time. How did he become like this all of a sudden? Something was wrong with the plot. How could a mortal fight against a god? How could a lowly ant crush a god? Is the world crazy? Long Fei. Boss. Too powerful. This scene was indescribably shocking. That god's general's *T had even been forced out. He was completely unable to endure Long Fei's attack. Consecutive attacks. The god's general was smashed like a dead dog by Long Fei. Long Fei grabbed his hair and raised him into the air, then said solemnly, "I said I would flatten you." God's general spurted out a mouthful of blood as he looked at Long Fei and said, You, if you dare kill me, heaven will not forgive you. You ant, do you dare? If you kill me, the entire God's martial continent will pay the price. Do you dare? If you kill me, there are still dozens of God's general waiting. Any one of them can cause this world to be beyond redemption. He was not afraid at all, because he was a high and mighty God's general. Since when was God's general afraid of mortals? Long Fei's lips curled up and said with a cold smile, "Seems like you don't understand me. Do you know what my motto in life is? Don't be afraid, just do it. You're asking me if I dare? I'm very sorry. There is nothing that I, Long Fei, do not dare to do. And I hate it when people threaten me the most." As soon as he finished, Long Fei raised the dragon coffin in his hand. Buzz. When he unleashed his power, the God's general's eyes flashed. He could feel a strong killing intent from Long Fei and felt death approaching. He was just like a normal person. They were also afraid of death. God's general began to struggle and shout loudly, "Save me! Save me! Quickly save me! You guys quickly save me!" He was scared. Even gods have moments of fear. Ha ha! Long Fei coldly started to despise him and roared out, "Even the heavenly emperor himself can't save you. Go and die for me." The dragon coffin in his hand smashed down. Boom! Golden light shot in all directions, causing God's general's body to crack. Bam! Crack! Crack! The pieces of his body fell to the ground like gold. The golden light spread in all directions, but in the instant they fell to the ground, they turned into a pile of dust. In less than a minute, a God's general was killed. Long Fei raised his eyes and shouted, "Next!" It was also at this time. The system sounded out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing God's general for obtaining 1 billion experience, power of celestial points, and 10 energy values. There was only one prompt. Long Fei cursed in his heart. System, damn you. Are you telling me that you got destroyed by the main artifact again? God's general. God's general. You aren't even going to give me anything? F*** KU immortal. However, Long Fei looked at the experience gained from killing God's general and felt his scalp tingle. 1 trillion experience. What a F***er. If I had killed this God's general when I was at level 1, I would have directly soared into the great complete realm. I should have tried it when I was in the infernal realm. If he had tried to do so at that time, Long Fei would have died 18,000 times over. Long Fei took a look at the experience trough. What's the use of giving me more experience now? 1 trillion. 1 trillion experience is useless. Long Fei could no longer level up anymore. Moreover, the experience he had gained was completely useless. However, with 1 trillion experience points added up, the experience bar started glowing red, as if it was burning energy. Ding! System notification. Player's experience has entered a burning state. Heavenly tribulation may descend at any time. Ding! System notification. Please prepare yourself. Ding! The system continuously flashed with red light. This is a danger alarm. F***CK. Lousy killed a God's general. So why don't you give me a heavenly tribulation that could descend at any time? System, do you have no but? I can't. I want to flip these God's general S over first. Long Fei made up his mind. The dragon coffin in his hand pointed and shouted, "Who's next?" At this moment, the system sounded out. Ding! The time for the barbarian king to charge is over. This is bad. Chapter 1119. Power of Purification. Chapter 1119. Power of Purification. The barbarian king was immune to death. It was precisely because of this that Long Fei was able to kill a God's general just now. However, now that the barbarian king's attack had disappeared, he could not withstand a single blow from the God's general. Zhonya Gold Body. This cultivation technique was useless because it could not attack. Barbarian King card. This would also not do, because he could not use Dragon Coffin S to attack the God's general. What should we do? Long Fei's expression did not change, but instead became even stronger, and suddenly shouted, "Who the hell is next? Come out for your father. Isn't it a calamity? Didn't you want to kill us? Come out now. Acting cool? Then pretend to be dead. Do these God's general know what is called LOL? Do you know what is considered the ultimate move of the barbarian king?" Obviously, they didn't know. Since they didn't know, then they just didn't understand why Long Fei wasn't injured just now. They wouldn't know that Long Fei's barbarian king bash had lost its power to death. Thus, Long Fei wanted to gamble. They didn't know, neither did Song Qianqian and Xiaobai. Xiaobai also roared out and shouted, "Aren't you all gods?" Did he submit? If you have the guts, come down and do it. Haha, bastard. Who's an ant now? You are the ants. You cowards want to act so arrogantly here? Don't you know who our boss is? If you have the guts, come down and do it. One was more arrogant than the other. Each was more domineering than the last. Their words made Long Fei's heart tremble. His heart was bitter. If I really come down, I will be tricked to death by you pig of a teammate. However, there was no longer any need to turn back. Long Fei had no other choice. He could only act arrogantly to the end. The God's General S were terrified because they had never encountered such a situation before, and no one had ever been able to kill them. Long Fei's death. Furthermore, what exactly was the explosive power of the dragon coffin in his hands? No one can kill us. Who is this person? Is he really from the dragon clan? Why doesn't he have a dragon blood vein in his body? What is that huge sarcophagus? There's only one kind of power that can kill us, and that is the power of the heavens. I'm afraid that what he has in his hands is the main artifact S who break through all shackles. Very quickly, all the gods General S stared at the dragon coffin in Long Fei's hands. They couldn't feel any energy fluctuations at all. Because of this, they were even more certain that the dragon coffin was the main artifact. They could not sense any power unless it was a power that was above them. Facing Long Fei's arrogance, and the ridicule from Xiao Bai and the others, many gods general were startled. One of the gods general shouted, "Heaven's might cannot be desecrated. These people have already committed a capital offense. This plane must be punished, and even the 100,000 planes must know the consequences of provoking the heavens. As Oracle, we cannot allow the heavens to be insulted in any way. What's more, the main artifact in his hands will bring about some imbalance to the entire wild universe. With the start of the primordial divine war, the main temple will definitely be in turmoil and might even reshuffle. This matter needs to be taken seriously." In an instant, many gods general quickly discussed and obtained a common conclusion. The result was, Long Fei had to die, and the gods' martial continent had to die. Did not want the main artifact to cause any more ripples. Otherwise, all sorts of uncontrollable accidents would happen on the ancient god battlefield. This was not what Main Temple wanted to see. Their duty was to clear all obstacles for the main temple. While they were talking, a god's general flew out and coldly stared at Long Fei. "To insult the heavens in front of us, Long Fei, you have already committed a heinous crime. You and your people and the entire god's martial continent must be punished." Skylaw, Long Fei laughed coldly and said, "Why are you spouting so much nonsense? Wasn't it just to find an excuse to start a war? You don't need to *King beat around the bush. If you have the guts, then just fight this old man. Is this old man afraid of you?" The god's general laughed coldly and said, "Do you think that killing a god's general will allow you to go against the rules? Long Fei, you overestimate yourself. You are still a dead ant in our eyes. Do you understand? Bear with it." Suddenly, the god's general returned to his original position. Next, golden light flashed in the entire sky, forming an enormous power. This power brought with it an aura of destruction and destruction. However, in the eyes of the god's general and the rest, this was not called the power of destruction, but rather was called the power of purification, the power to purify everything. He directly purified everything on the god's martial continent. Rumble, rumble. Rays of energy collapsed, space split apart, time and space split apart, and the power of laws also collapsed. Deep in the mountains, the demon beast was wildly scurrying and roaring, as if it had gone mad. Earth core power was gushing out from the depths of the earth. Space and time were warping. Every warrior's cultivation realm was warping. Everything on God's martial continent was undergoing a drastic change. He couldn't withstand this kind of purification power. "Boss, the earth is moving." The entire Nantion region was quickly moving. "Long Fei, power is disappearing crazily. The spiritual aura is disappearing. The power of law is disappearing. The power in our own bodies is also disappearing. Long Fei and the others are trying to purify the entire god's martial continent." Long Fei also felt it. The earth was moving crazily. Its power was chaotic and uncontrollable. This was even more intense than the end of the world. Long Fei looked up into the sky. His body moved, and the dragon coffin in his hands fiercely smashed down. Golden light overflowed in all directions as he was bounced off. The purifying power that comprised of over 30 gods General S was extremely strong. Even if Long Fei had the main artifact S, he would still not be able to blast them apart in a short period of time. Moreover, the main artifact was not used like Long Fei at all. If there was a main gun, it could be destroyed with a single shot. But now, Long Fei gritted his teeth. Fention, I'm sorry. He placed the absolute Dragon Divine Saber into the Dragon Coffin S. I need main gun. I need main gun to destroy them. Bring it on. Open the main gun. Buzz. Ding. The main gun's energy is filled. The third floor is open. Only open the third level. Damn. Long Fei burst out in vulgarities and poured all of the holy artifact S he had into the Dragon Coffin S. These holy artifacts did not even manage to react in time to a fart. There wasn't even a single increase in energy level. This was Long Fei's last hope. If the energy field could not be raised to the 5th floor, then the main gun could not be opened. Long Fei's last hope had been dashed. He could not think of any other way to fight against the gods' general. Am I going to lose? Do I have to resign myself to my fate? Long Fei looked up at the sky. His eyes turned sinister as he looked at the brothers, women, and friends behind him. He looked at the Nantian region, everything that was happening there. Long Fei clenched his teeth, gently exhaled, and muttered, I'm going all out. Chapter 11:20. The Descent of the Celestial Tribulation. Chapter 11:20. The Descent of the Celestial Tribulation. If he wasn't crazy, how would he become a devil? If he wasn't arrogant, how could he rule the world? If he wasn't crazy, then what was the point of living? To a transcender, Long Fei earned more from living every single day. He wanted to be crazy, wanted to live endlessly, and wanted to be crazy nonstop. God's Martial continent was about to collapse. The power of purification was too strong. The power of the main artifact could not be unleashed. Long Fei, there was no choice. He had already stepped into a desperate situation. There was no turning back, and he had no choice. He could only move forward, and forward again. At this moment, Long Fei took a step into the sky, and amidst the purifying power, his eyes swept across those high and mighty so-called gods. Long Fei laughed coldly. God? God's general? Heavens! Heavens! In my eyes, these are just obstacles. If a god wants to stop me, then I will kill a god. If the heavens want to stop me, then I will destroy the heavens. Long Fei roared. His aura exploded forth. How dare a little ant act so arrogantly? How dare you overestimate yourself? An ant. Tremble for us. You and everything else will be turned to ash, and everything will disappear from this world forever. Ha ha! Ha ha! The gods' general started laughing. In order to not let the main artifact reappear, they did not hesitate to kill all the billions of lives in the entire gods' Martial continent. There was no pity in their eyes. Is this a god? Maybe. However, this was also a world where people ate people. It was the same for gods. As long as one was strong enough, gods would also eat humans. Rumble. Suddenly, the vortex in the sky continued to spin, and an endless amount of power surged out in all directions. Yinner's expression changed as she shouted loudly, Big Brother Long Fei, don't. You can't take it. The power that was overflowing from the sky caused people to feel a chill in their hearts. Song Qianqian immediately asked, Yinner, what power is it? Tears streamed down Yinner's face as she continuously shouted, Big Brother Long Fei, don't. Linglong was also anxious. What kind of power is it? Hurry up and tell me. Yinner's voice trembled as she said, Heavenly Tribulation. Big Brother Long Fei wants to summon the power of Heavenly Tribulation. He wants to use the gods' suffering force to deal with those gods' general S. The Heavenly Tribulation? Zhang Tianye's eyes darkened and said, In these millions of years, no one has succeeded. The warriors in the gods' Martial continent are like being cursed. No matter how strong your talent is, or how pure your cultivation is, no one can succeed in the face of heavenly tribulation. 51% is an existence that is not turned into dust. Long Fei, don't act recklessly. Senior Brother Long Fei. Heavenly tribulation. What a terrifying word. In God's Martial continent, it was like an unbreakable shackle that firmly pressed down on every single warrior's heart. No one could decipher it. No one could break through it. No matter how strong you cultivate, how much stronger your body is, how strong the blood vein, facing the God's suffering force, your body will instantly crack like a chicken and a dog. This was because heavenly tribulation was unshakable. Moreover, Long Fei walked on a killing path. He had killed too many people along the way, so the heavenly tribulation he summoned with his power would be even more intense. Furthermore, he had just killed off the God's general, so the power of the heavenly tribulation was unstoppable. He would definitely not let Long Fei succeed in his tribulation. No doubt about it. If heavenly tribulation was that easy to overcome, then there wouldn't be so many flying fairy stronger men in this world who didn't dare to face the heavenly tribulation. Long Fei was clear on this point. The Demon Emperor's tomb explained everything. However, he knew that this was a dead end, but his death could save Song Qianqian, save Xiao Bai, save the leopard girl, save everyone around him, and save the entire God's martial continent. Long Fei was willing to pay with his life. Long Fei had never been a good person. This time, he did not do it to save God's martial continent, but to save his brothers and women. His eyes turned vicious. He looked at the power that erupted from above the ninth heaven. The system rang out once again. Ding! System notification. Will the player please confirm if you wish to summon divine retribution? Ding! System notification. Player's health point is too low. Success rate is not even 1%. Player please choose carefully. System. If you care about my life or death. Haha. Less than 1%. Even if it's less than 1 in 10,000, I will still summon the divine retribution. Long Fei's heart sank. He swept a glance at the surrounding God's general and coldly laughed. If you want to touch my people, you don't have the qualifications. Bring it on. Long Fei roared in his heart, and the idea confirmed. Summon heavenly tribulation. Buzz. A loud buzzing sound could be heard in the sky. At this moment, Han Ba, who had always been in War Pet space, suddenly spoke out. Brat, do you want to die? Long Fei released the giant demons, Lei Mo, and even the Yin Huang ancestor. Only he ignored this Han Ba. Hearing Han Ba's voice, Long Fei was slightly stunned, then laughed. Han Ba, are you afraid? Aren't you rather unreasonable? Are you afraid now? Han Ba's voice sank as he shouted. Kid, respect my words. Let your grandpa go. Your elder is disrespectful. What's wrong? The moment Long Fei's temper flared up, he had even confirmed the summoning of the heavenly tribulation. What was there to be afraid of? He didn't even want his life. What was he afraid of? Afraid of Han Ba betraying him? Long Fei didn't even give him a chance to betray her. Han Ba's voice sunk as he said in a heavy voice, You'll know the consequences of your actions later. Just wait for your death. Long Fei scolded. Even if I die, I will drag you down with me. Aren't you strong? Wasn't it the god of calamity? I just won't let you out. Han Ba. There was really nothing he could do. If Long Fei did not let him go, he would really die together with Long Fei. However, if Long Fei did not let him go, he simply could not break this shackle. At this moment, rumble. The sky exploded, and the power of heavenly tribulation spread out, covering the entire God's martial continent. It was exactly as Zhang Ti and I had expected. Long Fei trained in the way of death, and the God's suffering force he summoned became ever so strong that it was impossible for him to endure. Long Fei was extremely excited. The more powerful he was, the more excited he became. Long Fei stared at the dumbstruck God's general. Aren't you all awesome? Let's see if you guys are awesome, or if your heavenly tribulation powers are awesome. As soon as he finished, Long Fei followed Warrior, who was holding a bag of explosives, and rushed into the group of enemies. At this moment, the kitchen knife cut the wire, and sparks flew along the way. How cool! Long Fei felt as if his entire body had exploded as he rushed into the crowd of God's generaless. Come, let's go through the tribulation together. Ha ha. Madness. Heavenly tribulation descending. Chapter 11:21. Heavenly tribulation. Chapter 11:21. heavenly tribulation, and celestial tribulation are stronger? If it didn't try, no one would know. Long Fei's movements could be said to be 10,000 times crazier than a madman's. Others could only sit cross-legged and wait for heavenly tribulation to descend one after another. But it really was a kitchen knife chopping down wires, and it was even chopping down high-voltage electricity. What? Sitting cross-legged and waiting for the heavenly tribulation to descend. What he wanted was to break the rules. At this moment, he no longer cared about his own life or death. What he wanted to do was to drag those arrogant gods general into hell with him. This was what he wanted to do. The purifying powers released by the gods general were still quickly circulating. Seeing Long Fei rushing over, they were all dumbstruck. What does he want? Kid, what are you trying to do? We are the oracle of the heavens. We don't have the strength to deal with me. All of them were still very arrogant and proud. Long Fei shrugged, looked at the first divine tribulation flying down from the sky, smirked and said, I don't want to do anything either. I just want to kill all of you. That's all. As soon as he finished, Long Fei rushed forward and crazily roared, Come, let's see whether your oracle's power is stronger or your power is stronger. Ha ha ha. Crash. With a loud bang, the sky shattered. A powerful force from above the 9 heavens struck down, slicing through the 9 heavens. Rumble. It brought with it a destructive power, an endless amount of tempering power, and also the might of the heavens. The power of fury bombarded down. Rumble, rumble, cracks appeared in all directions in the sky, and dazzling bolts of lightning covered the sky. Boom! One of the gods' generals widened his eyes, glancing down at Long Fei. He roared out, Ah! Crack! The golden body was penetrated, creating a huge hole. His body trembled rapidly as his eyes turned white. He mumbled something under his breath. No one knew what he was talking about. Then, his body fell from the sky. Ha ha ha! Awesome! The god's envoy? Ha ha! All of you are just a pile of dog shit. Long Fei was extremely excited. Tribulation and heavenly tribulation? The celestial tribulation had become even more powerful. It was just that, without waiting for Long Fei's laughter to fade, the god's suffering force, after piercing through one of the heavenly tribulation's bodies, instantly smashed onto the top of his head. Rumble. The force of the punch was irresistible. There was no power that could resist the god's suffering force. Long Fei also hadn't thought of resisting. No matter how strong you were, a cool breeze blew across the mountain ridges. You were free to do whatever you want, and the moon shines on the river. The power of the heavenly tribulation is unstoppable, so it's impossible for Long Fei to use his defense to block it. His sea of consciousness flipped, and Long Fei's Yuan Long's body instantly shattered. The independent defense of the dragon's force instantly collapsed. When his sea of consciousness reached his mind, this short half-second felt like a century's time. His mind exploded with a heavy thunder that went through all the meridians and meridians, and all the meridians, and all the meridians, and all the meridians, and all the meridians, and finally the meridians, and finally the meridians, and finally the meridians, the meridians. Long Fei's eyes were trembling. His body was trembling. This kind of power was too terrifying. After spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood, Long Fei's body heavily sank down and fiercely straightened his legs the instant he bent to reveal his bloody teeth as he laughed. Your father isn't dead yet. Ha ha! Come again. Ha! Crazy. He was completely mad. The entire God's martial continent was stunned as they looked at Long Fei in a daze. The people behind him were even more confused. Using heavenly tribulation to unleash a calamity, such a method was something only a perverted madman would think of, and Long Fei actually blocked the first heavenly tribulation's attack. This was too unbelievable. The god general was dead, but he was fine. This was because this was Long Fei's heavenly tribulation, not the god's general's. Any power that resisted the heavenly tribulation would be crushed. If the heavenly tribulation was summoned, no one would be able to dodge it. The gods general were all dumbstruck. Is this person crazy? Speed up the purification speed. As long as we can purify this trash plane before he succeeds in transcending the tribulation, then even if he summons more celestial tribulation, it won't be of any use. Quick, quick, quick! Hurry up! Immediately, the god's general quickly reacted, speeding up the circulation speed of the purifying power. He would purify the god's martial continent as much as possible before Long Fei could. That way, Long Fei wouldn't even need to go through the tribulation, and he would directly turn into ashes. However, Long Fei went crazy and did not care about his life. The second heavenly tribulation descended. Long Fei grinned, looked at the heavenly tribulations in the sky that had once again released all of their strength, and said, "Exalted God's General, have you ever eaten candied fruits of ice?" A God's General was startled and asked, "What is a candied fruit?" "Ignore him. Increase our speed. Brat, you don't have much time. Your entire God's martial continent will be purified." Not waiting for him to finish, Long Fei shouted excitedly and said, "The frozen sugar gourd is here." Long Fei's figure moved. He suddenly rushed to a point, raised his head and looked at the sky, and thought, as expected. The celestial tribulation was unavoidable. No matter where it hid, it would not be able to escape. Crack, crack, crack. A series of loud sounds could be heard as a beam of light penetrated through several gods' generalist bodies like a string of candied fruits. All of them had a hole blasted out by the heavenly tribulation. A few gods' general S fell from the sky. Long Fei said excitedly, "Did you see that? This is the bottle gourd string." At the same time, Long Fei's body sank. Rumble! Another explosion occurred right above his head. A surge of power blasted into his sea of consciousness. This heavenly tribulation was twice as powerful as the previous one, making it even more powerful. Could it be that it has multiplied? F*CK. Under the heavy pressure of strength, Long Fei burst out with a curse, roaring towards the sky. "You want me to kneel? Even if you had the strength of 18 generations of your ancestors, I still wouldn't be able to do that. I won't kneel. Come on, come on. Use your stronger strength to hit me." Long Fei was like a crazed devil. The second wave of power blocked the attack with all its might, causing both his mind and consciousness to tremble. How many such powers were there? Long Fei didn't know. He only knew that no one was able to make him kneel. How much power does heavenly tribulation have? Heavenly tribulation is divided into many different types. All seeds are different. The smallest is 9. The most is 81. 81. Then Long Fei. Zhang Ti and I looked at Long Fei with deep respect in his heart, because no one had dared to summon out heavenly tribulation in the past millions of years. At the same time, he was also worried. Long Fei had caused too much killing. How many levels of heavenly tribulations did he have to endure? 81 lines or more. Chapter 11:22 Kid, let me out. Chapter 11:22 Kid, let me out. With the heavenly tribulation activated, no one could stop it. There are two ways to stop. Either Long Fei succeeded in his tribulation, or Long Fei would die. Only these two possibilities would stop the celestial tribulation. However, Long Fei never thought that the heavenly tribulation would stop. If the god's general does not die, the heavenly tribulation cannot stop. Even if there was only one god's general left, his power was more than enough to destroy the entire god's martial continent. "God's general, have you tasted the taste of watermelon before?" Long Fei shouted. At this time, the hearts of the god's general sank, and they became a little afraid. At this moment, Long Fei took a step forward and suddenly appeared in front of few god's general, laughing. "Big watermelon, one cut." Rumble! The third wave of heavenly tribulation descended. The body of a celestial tribulation was split in half. Ha! The watermelon cut open the stomach. Rumble! Long Fei crashed down from the sky, his legs bent, his face gloomy and white, his hair black. Even if he had to kneel, make him lower his head. However, Long Fei stubbornly resisted and did not lower his head, nor did he kneel. Boom, boom, boom. Unable to endure it any longer, Long Fei spat out another mouthful of fresh blood. His body sank slightly, and with great force, he flew into the air once again. Honestly, Long Fei was very unhappy. He was dissatisfied with the gods' general, and even more dissatisfied with the heavenly tribulation. If one were to say that these gods' general were so high and mighty, then this heavenly tribulation was like playing with people. To these gods' general, this tribulation was but a toy to them. He could do whatever he wanted. Come on. Long Fei glared at him. Come again. Too arrogant. God's general thought Long Fei was talking about them. All of them were extremely unhappy. They had never encountered such a situation before, let alone being severely injured in such a low realm. In just a few short minutes, 6 gods general S had fallen. This was something that had never happened before. Even in the higher planes, it was impossible. This made the gods general extremely angry. Suddenly, a gods general flew out and shouted, "Kid, let's see how arrogant you can be." Buzz! The voice disappeared, and a powerful force pressed down on Xiang Longfei. At this moment, the other celestial tribulation struck out as well. He let out a loud shout, "I have to kill you. We need to speed up the purification process." The other gods general S quickly circulated the power in their bodies. On the gods' martial continent, there were constant cracks in the ground, and volcanoes erupted, causing an enormous tsunami to engulf the entire shore. People continued to lose them. The purification was never broken. Long Fei sneered coldly. "Your father's arrogance is so great that even your mother cannot understand it. Let's see who kills who." Suddenly, Long Fei didn't have any form of defense at all and rushed forward without caring about his life. Pay attention to the timing of the descent of the celestial tribulation. Long Fei's figure suddenly stopped. He sneered, "You two fools, go and die." Boom! Sky calamity exploded. With Long Fei at the center, all of the surrounding energy was instantly crushed as 2 gods general S fell from the sky. However, they did not die. He didn't die. Then let me replace it. Long Fei made a grabbing motion with his right hand while holding the dragon coffin in his hand, and then smashed it onto the 2 gods general S who were blasted down by the heavenly tribulation. At the same time, the god's suffering force exploded within Long Fei's body. The fourth, pain, was an unbearable pain. While spitting out blood and being enraged, the dragon coffin in his hands smashed onto the heads of the 2 gods general S again and again. Boom, boom, boom. Every time he used his full strength, the 2 gods general S would be smashed into pieces. Long Fei stomped his foot on their bloody heads and coldly said, "How arrogant are you trying to find me now?" He stomped heavily on the ground. Crack! Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing God General for obtaining 1 billion experience, 1 billion power of celestial, and 10 energy values. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing God General for obtaining 1 billion experience, 1 billion power of celestial points, and 10 energy values. 2 consecutive notifications sounded. Leaning on the dragon coffin on Long Fei's shoulder, all the muscles on his body expanded. Raising his eyes, he stared at the air as he howled out with incomparable arrogance. "Mother ****. Who else is there? Don't give him a chance." As long as Long Fei seized this chance, he would never let it go. The gods general in the sky were even more furious. Long Fei's words and actions were an enormous humiliation to them, and the hearts of every single god's general were burning with fury. Don't act blindly without thinking. He's already seriously injured. He won't be able to get away for long. What we need to do is to purify this plane. If he likes to scream, let him. When releasing the purification power, you must pay attention to the sky and Long Fei's movements rules. We can't let him lead us by the nose again. God's general died one after another. They couldn't die anymore. If he were to die again, the purification power would weaken. At the same time, the god's general that spoke stared at the sky and muttered a few words that no one could understand. And then, the power of the 9 heavens and above was even more powerful, wreaking havoc everywhere. Hanba suddenly said, then I am begging the heavens to send down an even more powerful heavenly tribulation. And also, the heavens even agreed to it. Boy, how unlucky are you? Long Fei said, Hanba, my bad luck is yours. Do you think you can escape? Hanba. He was speechless again. Long Fei ignored him from the start. What Hanba said was not wrong. After the fifth heavenly tribulation, their speed would double, and the power contained within would increase by several-fold. Instantly, things changed. It struck right into Long Fei's sea of consciousness. He flipped over the sky and fell to the ground. This time Long Fei was too late to judge the speed at which the heavenly tribulation was falling, resulting in him being unable to react in time, as he was completely unable to endure the impact of this kind of power. Rumble! Long Fei's body sank, his legs crazily trembled, and he couldn't endure it any longer. Senior brother Long Fei. Ling Long gave a loud shout and turned into a vermilion bird, about to fly over. Long Fei immediately shouted out, "Don't come over!" Anyone, as long as they got close to him, they would be affected by the power of the heavenly tribulation. Even God's general wouldn't be able to resist it, let alone ordinary people like them. Long Fei could not let anyone else die. I can't just watch as the people around me die. Thus, Long Fei could only carry it himself. The God's General S looked at Long Fei, who was trembling and struggling to hold on, and revealed contemptuous smiles, saying, "Brat, you're even crazier. Fighting the heavens? Just a tiny ant like you. Are you worthy?" Rumble. Yet another heavenly tribulation descended, one that was even more powerful. At this moment, Hanba let out a long breath and said, "Brat, let me out." Chapter 11:23. Then let me do it. Chapter 11:23. Then let me do it. Long Fei could not take it anymore. He was going to be unable to withstand the power of the sixth heavenly tribulation. It wasn't because he was weak. It was because the heavens had specially taken care of him, and because Long Fei's health point was not even half of his before the tribulation, and her body was in a heavily injured state. 6 consecutive celestial tribulations. Being in the middle of the purification power for such a long period of time, if it was a normal 9th level flying immortal powerhouse, he would not be able to hold on for even 10 seconds. Hanba could not watch any longer. Of course, he really didn't want to follow Long Fei here. "Kid, let me out," Hanba said again. Long Fei laughed sinisterly, blood continuously flowing out of his mouth as he said, "Why should I let you out? Why should I let you out?" Hanba was slightly angered and said, "How many more times can you endure the sky calamity attacks? Do you know what level the heavenly tribulation you endured is? Do you know how many more heavenly tribulations are coming? You don't know anything, do you?" Long Fei didn't know. But Hanba knew, because he was the god of disaster. The heavenly tribulation he experienced was exactly the same as the one Long Fei experienced. Therefore, he was very clear in his heart about what kind of heavenly tribulation Long Fei was going to face. He didn't want to become Long Fei's funeral partner. Long Fei laughed. "So what if I don't know? Hanba, are you afraid?" Hanba said, "This old man is afraid. This old man has never been afraid, even after hundreds of millions of years in this crappy grave of the God Emperor, because I knew that there would come a day when I would return to the divinity to kill all those hypocrites, and then I want to enter the battlefield of the ancient gods. I want to go against the will of the heavens and change the rules of this world. I'm not afraid of any of that, but I, your father, am very afraid to follow you. Because you're not a normal person at all. You are a madman." Hanba was fearless and incomparably arrogant, but this was all because he was strong. Thus, he was not afraid of anything. However, Long Fei didn't give him a strong feeling. It was that of a madman who didn't care about his life. Once they started a war, they would kill the opponent regardless of the cost. Even if the opponent didn't die, they would still do it. If they died, they would ruthlessly ravage the opponent. Long Fei laughed and said, "I never thought that the great god of disaster would be afraid of me. It's actually me. It's actually like this. Then call me boss." Long Fei did not know if he could withstand the heavenly tribulation. If he really couldn't endure it anymore, Long Fei would also let Han Ba out in the instant of his death. He would die. He didn't want to implicate anyone else. Han Ba had indeed displeased him. They couldn't accept him. Furthermore, the loyalty level was outrageously low. If he were let out, it would definitely become a traitor. Han Ba's eyes became angry, and he almost roared out and said, "Brat, you're crazy, aren't you? Call you boss." At this moment, Long Fei didn't wait for Han Ba to finish speaking before he immediately said, "Amen, so obedient. You really call me boss." Han Ba, F*CKU. Long Fei said, "Let's hear it for a bit more. Maybe I will let you go." Han Ba immediately scolded, "Damn you." Then, he immediately became so angry that a flame appeared on top of his head. You just wait for your death. He was so angry that he didn't want to. Long Fei, however, started to laugh out loud. If Han Ba were to call him boss, then Long Fei really had no confidence at all. He was the god of disaster. Only this allowed Long Fei to feel slightly at ease. Seeing that Han Ba was silent, Long Fei slightly said, "I will let you go." Han Ba was stunned. He seemed not to have heard it clearly and was stunned. Finished, Long Fei straightened his body and roared towards the sky. "Come again." This time, the space between Long Fei's brows tightened as ideas connected to the sky. In the instant the heavenly tribulation descended, Long Fei's body moved once again. However, his speed was still too slow. Rumble. The seventh heavenly tribulation smashed down, not giving him any time to move at all. It instantly descended and directly poured into Long Fei's sea of consciousness. Long Fei's eyeballs nearly popped out from the pain. Power rushed in his legs. The kneecap was about to be torn apart by the power of the heavenly tribulation. But Long Fei will not kneel. "You want me to kneel for you? Don't even think about it in this life." Long Fei roared out and then roared again. Eighth heavenly tribulation, come again. Rumble. After half a second of brewing, the eighth heavenly tribulation descended. Long Fei used all the strength in his legs, and half of his body was directly inserted into the ground. Those gods general sneered. "All right, Long Fei is already crippled. Now it's our turn." The power of purification increases its speed. A plane like this doesn't need to exist anymore. Everything that happens in this plane will be covered up. Buzz, buzz. Golden rays of light exploded as the power of purification circulated even faster. Long Fei originally wanted to use the god's suffering force to annihilate the Calamity God's general, but the current god's suffering force was moving faster and faster to the point where he was unable to make use of it. He could clearly feel his health point trembling. God's martial continent was trembling, the kind of trembling you can't stand. Suddenly, a voice from the Yin Huang ancestor arrived in Long Fei's mind, and lightly said, "Long Fei, the stronger the divine tribulation, the stronger the power you will receive. As long as you can endure the baptism of the divine tribulation, this will be a gift to you." Heavenly tribulation is a type of baptism. The baptism of power is a type of evolution for you. As long as you endure it, you will be able to evolve. Long Fei, believe me, as long as you have a heart of a powerhouse and a firm heart, you will definitely be able to resist. Long Fei, you must resist it. The stronger the celestial tribulation, the stronger the baptism. Breaking out of the cocoon and being reborn was something that could withstand the baptism of heavenly tribulation. Hold on. It was just a few simple words, but how was one supposed to deal with them? How could he withstand it? Long Fei really did not know how he could endure it. What worried him the most were the gods general. They were threatening his brothers, his women, the entire god's martial continent. Unless Long Fei's heart sank and asked, "Han Ba, are you able to defeat those gods general S?" The corner of Han Ba's mouth hooked into a smile and said, "If you can give me the main artifact, if I use it, I can kill them one by one." Long Fei said without any hesitation, "Take it and use it. Get rid of these bastards." Han Ba was startled. At this moment, He was truly a little dumbfounded. I really can't see through Long Fei. Han Ba could not help but ask. Aren't you going to drag me away? Long Fei said, afraid, very afraid. However, I am more afraid of my brothers. My women have died here one by one, and as long as you can turn over these gods general, I am willing to pay the price. Han Ba grinned and laughed sinisterly. Then let me out. Chapter 1124, Han Ba's Betrayal. Chapter 1124, Han Ba's Betrayal, Bring it on. Go and flip through all the gods general S, if I can. Long Fei really did not want to release Han Ba. This guy's ability could be said to be invincible. Calamity, zombie ancestor, immortal and indestructible. Long Fei had always wanted to increase his loyalty. If he was to bring Han Ba, who had 100 points of loyalty, into the Chaos Realm, then Han Ba would absolutely sweep away everything. However, no matter how hard Long Fei tried, Han Ba's loyalty was still the same. It was still so low that it was outrageous by 0.00001%. Right now, Long Fei had no other choice. They could only release Han Ba. Moreover, if the main artifact was given to him to use, there was an enormous instability at any time. He could turn traitor at any time and bring the main artifact with him into the void to disappear at any time. If that was the case, Long Fei accepted his fate. Boom. Woo 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 woo. A creepy and eerie laughter that could pierce the heart and shake the soul rang out, and a ball of flames began to burn in the air. Next, Han Ba walked out. He took a step forward. With him as the center, everything within 10 meters of him began to wither rapidly. Rocks transformed into dust, grass withered, trees withered, and birds fell. So everything was dying fast. Calamity, the voice of death. Han Ba walked out with a skinny body. His neck lightly shook and his joints popped out. He laughed excitedly. It feels so good to be out here. It was also at this time. Han Ba looked at Long Fei and said, Bring the main artifact over. Han Ba made Long Fei very worried, but he pretended that nothing had happened and laughed. Take it. The dragon coffin pushed. Han Ba caught it and gently felt it for a bit before excitedly laughing. Ha ha. At this moment, the sound of his laughter shook the place as an incomparably powerful force suddenly erupted from the dragon coffin. It was as if the power of the main artifact had been completely activated. The power exploded outwards, shooting directly into the skies and blocking a celestial tribulation. Han Ba looked up coldly and said, "Tsh." This look of disdain simply did not place the power of this heavenly tribulation in his eyes. Han Ba looked at Long Fei and said, "Brat, look clearly at the main artifact's strength. Main artifact are not used like you." "Oh, right. There's one thing I haven't done." Han Ba smiled. Seeing the smile on his face, Long Fei's heart sank. Crap. Ding. System notification. The war pet, Han Ba, has rebelled. Ding. System notification. The war pet, Han Ba, has rebelled. Ding. System notification. War pet, Han Ba, has rebelled. The system beeped 3 times. With a loyalty level of 0.00001%. It was thinner than a piece of paper and could be broken with a single poke. Han Ba was able to shake off Long Fei's crowd control with just a little bit of force, and it was completely useless. Long Fei frowned, his heart beginning to worry. He had no way to deal with Han Ba's betrayal. Furthermore, it was impossible to summon him to the war pet space. Moreover, the main artifact dragon coffin were in his hands. If he wanted to leave, no one could stop him, not even those gods General S. This uncontrollable situation made Long Fei panic in his heart and was extremely displeased. Han Ba smiled slightly as he looked at Long Fei. "I don't like others controlling me. Although I somewhat like you, brat, for your wildness, insolence enough, fighting hard enough, and strength enough, being with you is too dangerous. It's still better for me to control my own fate. However, kid, I will do what I promised you." However, Han Ba looked up to the sky and glanced at the rows of accumulated gods suffering force in the sky. In this period of time, he was using the power of the main artifact to block the waves of the god's suffering force. He had already accumulated a total of 7 to 4 gods' suffering forces. Hanba smiled and said, I don't know if you can withstand the baptism of heavenly tribulation. Get ready. As soon as he finished, Hanba turned his eyes, stared at the god's general in the sky, and laughed arrogantly. God's general? Envoy of heaven? Heavenly oracle? Bullshit. They're just a bunch of main temple lackeys. The faces of the god's general darkened. A god's general asked, Who are you? Hanba laughed coldly and said, I am your ancestor. As soon as he finished, the main artifact moved and Hanba's body disappeared. In that instant, the god's general who was speaking was suddenly sucked in by a strong force, and in less than half a second, his body became a dried-up corpse. Hanba did not manage to absorb all of the blood. Hiss! So cool. What a pure god's blood smell, huh? All of you go to hell. Hanba was furious. The main artifact moved its hand and swept its power out like an explosion. At the same time, rumble, rumble, rumble. The god's suffering force continuously struck down as 8 heavenly tribulations descended at the same time. Long Fei's entire body relaxed. He had no energy in his body to block and defend. Since this is a type of baptism, then let's make it a bit more violent. Boom, boom. When the 8 gods' suffering force entered Long Fei's body, everything was suppressed. Long Fei's every pore trembled, and at the same time, they began to transform. Long Fei was smashed to death. No matter what baptism it is, if I find a chance, I will definitely trample you underfoot. Long Fei looked up to the sky. Hanba massacred. Every time he killed a god's general, he would absorb all of their blood essence. His skinny body gradually recovered its vigor, and his strength quickly recovered. This was also what Long Fei was worried about. If all the gods' generals died, what would Hanba do if he killed all of them? Bring it on. Come at me more fiercely. Long Fei's entire body was covered in blood, as he endured one divine tribulation after another. Hanba took a quick glance, and his eyes shook slightly. He laughed. Seems like you have awakened. You know how to undergo the baptism of heavenly tribulation, but, kid, you're different from me. Our identities are different. You have to endure more pain than I do. You have to endure divine retribution. Hanba glanced at the sky and laughed coldly. Boom, boom. The 54th celestial tribulation had arrived. Is it not over? Could it really be 81 great gods suffering forces? Long Fei can't do it anymore. Is there no way to stop it? Suddenly, Lu Luoshi looked at Hanba and pleaded, Can you use the main artifact to help Long Fei resist a little? Can you let him rest a bit more? Hanba sucked up the blood essence of one of the gods' general and sneered. No. It has nothing to do with me, whether he dies or not. However, if you could give me your virgin blood, I might consider it. Long Fei became furious and shouted, Hanba, try touching one of them. Hanba grinned and laughed, then said, Brat, enjoy your heavenly tribulation, your heavenly tribulation. But unique unlike anyone else. Ha ha ha. Chapter 11:25 Great Perfection, Heavenly Tribulation. Chapter 11:25 Great Perfection, Heavenly Tribulation. It was different from any heavenly tribulation. Hanba did not say what was different about it. He just kept laughing. When he smiled, there was a trace of envy in his eyes. The celestial tribulation was a form of baptism. The stronger the baptism was, the better it was for a martial artist. The more treasures a martial artist could obtain. Hanba looked at Lu Luoshi and said, Little girl, your men are much stronger than you think. I'm not talking about him. The power I'm talking about is his heart of becoming strong. Watch carefully. Maybe this is the last time you'll see him. The main artifact in Hanba's hand suddenly smashed, causing a god's general that was rushing over to be smashed down, and muttered, This kind of usage is really not bad. He made a grasping motion in the air. He directly grabbed the heavenly tribulation and absorbed the blood essence within God's general ruthlessly. Everyone looked at Long Fei. Lu Luoshi asked, "What's all unique heavenly tribulation? Will he die?" Hanba laughed. "Who knows? Maybe. Ha ha ha." The dragon coffin smashed the head of another god's general into pieces. This usage is really not bad. Lu Luoshi looked at Long Fei. Now that the entire purification power had started to crumble, the drastic changes in the god's martial continent also began to slow down. Many people were looking in the direction of the Nantian region, watching as one god's suffering force after another came crashing down. At this moment, countless people clenched their fists, silently praying in their hearts. "Long Fei, you must survive. Help him. He is the benefactor of our god's martial continent. Save him." More and more people began to look forward to it for Long Fei. They were not clear about what had happened in the Nantian region, nor were they clear about what had happened, but they were clear that Long Fei had risked his life to protect the god's martial continent. He was risking his life to protect them. He was the benefactor of the god's martial continent. Come and pray for Master Long Fei. That's all we can do. Come and help him. More and more people joined in as they prayed sincerely for Long Fei to pass this trial. Slowly, billions of people across the continent began to pray. Little by little, the power of prayer converged. It then turned into a stream of spirit power, and faith power, and flowed into Long Fei's body. At this moment, ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining myriad faith. Buzz! At this moment, the power of the heavenly tribulation changed and became even more arrogant. It was as if the sky had become angry, and it became even more crazy. Ha ha! Ha ha! Hanba laughed loudly. Interesting, too interesting. I never thought that the god's suffering force is leveling up. Ha ha! I really have to thank my psychokinesis, spiritual force, and faith in the power of prayer. The celestial tribulation had not weakened. Rather, it had become even more powerful. Even the gods general that were still alive were at a loss. He had never seen such a powerful god's suffering force before. This kind of god's suffering force would not even appear in a high plane, but now it had actually appeared in the god's martial continent. What was going on? Impossible. This is impossible. It's impossible for a paragon's celestial tribulation to appear in a place like this. A god's general's voice trembled slightly. Hanba's eyes turned cold, and he smiled. Not bad. You actually know about the great perfection heavenly tribulation. You're right. The heavenly tribulation continues to level up. Right now, the heavenly tribulation he is facing is the one at the great perfection stage. I can't believe you didn't think of that kind of power. While he was speaking, Hanba's figure suddenly moved, landing beside those gods general, and coldly laughed. You all have to pay a price to witness a miracle, right? Hand over your life. Hanba swept the dragon coffin in his hand, then heavily slammed down. Boom! Boom! Several gods general died. Hanba quickly absorbed them and said, I need to increase my speed too. Rumble. The 79th Celestial Tribulation. Long Fei closed his eyes and remained motionless. He didn't know if he was alive or dead. At this moment, Long Fei was in extreme pain, on the verge of death, but he was holding on with one breath. Don't give up, just do it, just do it. Dry heaven, dry earth, dry air. No one can stop me. Long Fei screamed in his heart. Even the heavens cannot, because my name is Long Fei. Rumble. The 80th Heavenly Tribulation. Is there a final one? Last. Long Fei tried to sense for a bit, and felt that the heavenly tribulation was not about to end. Zhang Xian was astounded. The mind and the sea of consciousness were on the verge of collapse, unable to withstand it. Rumble. The 81st Celestial Tribulation has descended. It was exactly as Long Fei had expected. It wasn't over. Why is the god's suffering force still wreaking havoc? Isn't there a maximum of 81 heavenly tribulations? Why is that? Heavens, are you going to kill Long Fei? God of scoundrel, You are too despicable and shameless. Big Brother Long Fei, Big Brother Long Fei. The 81 celestial tribulation descended. In the blink of an eye, the 82 celestial tribulations descended. Ha ha. So it's really like that. It's really getting faster and faster. The great perfection, heavenly tribulation. How many things that the powerhouse dreams of, I can't even ask for, yet you just happen to meet it. It's just that. Kid, can you bear it? Hanba said with a smile. He could clearly feel that Long Fei was at the edge of life and death. It could be said he couldn't bear it. This was because the following heavenly tribulation was an elemental heavenly tribulation, stronger than any god's suffering force. Ice element. Rumble. Long Fei's body instantly turned into an ice sculpture. Rumble. Lightning element. The ice sculpture exploded, and Long Fei's body was struck by the heavy lightning. Wind essence. Hurricane crush. Long Fei's entire body was trembling, and in his heart he kept telling himself that he would have to endure one more time. Endure one more time. Endure one more time. Rumble. Element of extinction. A wave of energy struck down, and Hanba's expression sunk as he said faintly, "It's over, he's about to collapse." Boom! Under the impact of the power, Long Fei's health point dropped to its lowest point, leaving behind only a bit of his health point. Ding! System notification. Player's health point is too low. Please immediately add. Ding! Red alert. Player's health point is too low. Please supplement in time. Long Fei's body kept breaking through the limit again and again, but he had endured too much. He couldn't take it anymore. There was only a little bit of health point left. Not to mention heavenly tribulation. Even a child beating him with a stick would make him want to meet the king of hell. At this moment, Hanba suddenly said in a loud voice, "Kid, there's only one out of the 111 complete heavenly tribulations left. If you can withstand them, you can fly into the sky, and if you can't, you will be turned into ashes. You have to hold on." Hanba wanted to witness a miracle. However, Long Fei could not hold on any longer. In another second, his health point would disappear and he would die. In the last second, Long Fei was dead for sure. Chapter 11:26. This Father Absolute Immortality. Chapter 11:26. This Father Absolute Immortality, the final celestial tribulation. This was the most powerful of the 111 tribulations. The heavens would definitely not let Long Fei rush over so easily, because he was angry. Also, Long Fei only had one last bit of health point left. According to the game's explanation, if this bit of health point disappeared, he would immediately die. With his entire body heavily injured, his health point was already unable to endure the last bit of heavenly tribulation. He couldn't take it anymore. Long Fei looked at them in the blink of an eye, and the corner of his mouth slightly curled up. Everyone needs to be fine. As soon as he finished, Long Fei moved the energy in his body and shouted, "Dragon's Force, release!" Boom! Boom! The Dragon's Force did not want to leave their bodies, but they were unable to struggle free, so they had to obey Long Fei's orders. Xiao Fei, boss, boss. All sorts of sounds continuously rang out in the air. Long Fei smiled faintly. Go back to your original positions. You have already helped me enough. When the Dragon's Force came out of their bodies, all the Long family disciples revived after absorbing the dragon's power. And it was the same for the 14th dragon ancestor. Long Fei knew that he might not be able to overcome this hurdle. He had to leave this place without worry, as a single dragon's force represented a life. The lives of Long family's disciples also included the lives of their dragon ancestors. Long Fei didn't want to drag them into hell. Haha. Long Fei laughed lightly and said, "Come, this old one has lived enough." After doing all of this, Long Fei turned around and looked at the sky. Looking at the god's suffering force that had been brewing for a long time, Long Fei opened his hands and closed his eyes, muttering, "In 10 years, this daddy has struck gold." In his 10 years in this world, Long Fei had lived an exciting life every day. There were brothers, there were women, there were family, there was wine, and there was meat. There was even arrogance and hot-bloodedness. Even if he was given another 50 years on Earth, he wouldn't be able to live like this. Enough. He had made a huge profit. Long Fei looked up at the sky and laughed, roaring madly. Come on. What are you hesitating for? Come on. Ha ha. Long Fei laughed out arrogantly. Ling Long cried her eyes out. Senior brother Long Fei. Senior brother Long Fei. Yinner's face was covered in tears. Lu Luoxi was in so much pain that she wished she were dead. All the girls also cried loudly. Many of them couldn't even make sound. Long Fei did not dare to look at him, because looking at him made him feel even more reluctance to part. At this time, he already no longer had the chance to live. Death. Long Fei was very calm. He had never thought that he would be so calm in the face of death. Rumble. Rumble. The heavenly tribulation activated, and the sky sank even deeper. The 9-story heaven's strength quickly superimposed together, forming a strong 9-story heaven's power. Rumble. The 111th bolt of divine retribution descended. The entire God's martial continent darkened instantly, turning into a pitch-black night. All of the light was absorbed by the divine tribulation's power. A bolt of Xuan Bai's lightning heavily struck the top of Xiang Longfei's head. Long Fei clenched both of his fists tightly, and tightly. His entire body was trembling, his hair was scattered all over, flying horizontally as fresh blood dyed his entire body red like a demon, and as if he had gone mad. At this moment, Long Fei roared in his heart, I don't want to die, I don't want to die, I really don't want to die. 10 years of hard work, in exchange for the life and death brothers, the peerless beauty, and the family that doted on him. All of this would disappear. Long Fei really couldn't accept it. System, is there a way? I don't want to die. Long Fei roared in his heart. There was no response from the system, and it probably had no other options. Boom, boom, boom. The explosive force that came crashing down bit by bit was something that Long Fei could think of no way to resist. Golden body? Do I need to use my golden body again? Useless. Any form of defense in front of the heavenly tribulation would be useless, even if it was the imperishable golden body. This was because the power of the heavenly tribulation would enter one's sea of consciousness and then expand one's entire body. Long Fei's Zhonya gold body could not provide any form of defense. I'm really going to die. I am really going to die. I really can't King accept this. Long Fei laughed. Both sides looked up at the sky and said quietly, Heavens, I will K your entire family. Rumble. The god's suffering force crashed down. At this moment, Hanba sucked all of the last god's general dry. Looking at Long Fei's face that was filled with unwillingness, he smiled slightly and said, Brat, you won't be interesting if you lose this world. Buzz. Hanba formed a palm with his right hand and placed it on top of the dragon coffin as he roared out, Ah! In this instant, Hanba released all of the energy he had just absorbed from the god's General S and poured it into the main artifact dragon coffin, not holding anything back. His recovered body also quickly turned into a mummy. He was even thinner than before. Kid, catch! Hanba's right hand pushed forward, and his body also retreated a few steps back. He swayed a few times and seemed to be unable to take it any longer. The dragon coffin pushed the door open. The main artifact emitted a strong light. Hanba shouted, Kid, jump in! At this time, Long Fei no longer had a choice. He jumped straight into the dragon coffin, according to Hanba's words. Boom! The dragon coffin merged together. Hanba grinned, looked at the sky, and said, So what if you're a perfect heavenly tribulation? Your father will still resist? Ha. The God above us is amazing? I just don't feel good helping him. What can you do to me? Hanba said arrogantly. It was unknown if it was because his words had angered the heavens even more, or because the god's suffering force had undergone a change in the last moment when it hit the dragon coffin or not. Strength mutation. It became a 7-colored light, and the powerful power of main God blasted into it. The sky was splitting apart. The earth trembled. Hanba was stupefied. Clenching both fists tightly, he shouted with extreme displeasure. Was there a use for this? Just a warrior from the lower realms. Is there a need for your main temple to go against him like this? Do you even have any shame? His strength had changed. Hanba was very familiar with this kind of aura. It was the aura of a certain powerhouse. Even main artifact could not handle it. This wasn't the power of heavenly tribulation at all. This was clearly aimed at him. It was a blatant provocation. Hanba cursed, but that did not change anything. The power of the attack struck down. Explosion on the dragon coffin. Long Fei did not do anything inside the dragon coffin. He was still continuously thinking of a way, and upon hearing Hanba's furious words, Long Fei's heart tightened. You must kill me, right? Main temple, right? You must let me die, right? F***CKU. Lousy wants to live. Long Fei gritted his teeth, and at this moment, a thought flashed through his mind. Long Fei's eyes flashed with a sharp glint as he laughed excitedly. Bedevilment. Chapter 1127, Rebirth. Chapter 1127, Rebirth Bedevilment. He had to force himself into a corner. In this desperate situation, Long Fei thought about the demon body that he still had, the one that had been crippled. However, this crippled devil body required a powerful force to be activated once more. A powerful force. Is the god's suffering force strong enough? If it's not enough, what about adding on the power of main god? Is that enough? Ding! System notification. Player's health point is too low, unable to become bewitched. Ding! System notification. The player's health point is too low, unable to be bedeviled. Swish! Forcefully bedeviling the devil. Long Fei was going all out. As long as he could live, he would not hesitate to pay any price, because he wanted to turn this world upside down. He had to survive. The more he wanted to kill him, the less he would die. Ding! System notification. Player forced into a demonic state. Original body will die. Please be careful. Careful my ass. As long as I can live, even if I become incomparably ugly, even if I become ugly, I don't care. Long Fei thought about the side effects of the God's Bone Taboo's power. Not to mention becoming ugly, even if it meant crippling Long Fei. He didn't mind. Live, and it will be limitless possibilities. He wouldn't be able to enter the infernal realm if he was killed by the celestial tribulation. Ding! Player Long Fei has forcefully become bedeviled. Ding! Points 0. Ding! Enchantment successful. Ding! Player Real Face towers, body dies. The system sounded out continuously. Being bedeviled had an unimaginable price to pay. One part of Long Fei's body was instantly killed, which meant that he was no longer able to exchange it for his current body. There was no turning back. Boom! Long Fei's body turned into a god's devil body. The bone wings on his back snapped, and his entire body was severely injured. Even after 2 years, this devil body still had not recovered. How could a body like this withstand such a powerful god's suffering force? Of course not. However, there was a power that might work. In the blink of an eye, Long Fei let out a heavy roar and said, "Come, wake up your strength. God's Bone Taboo, the power of the 10th layer. Open for me." Forcefully entering the devil state and forcefully opening the power of the 10th level of God's Bone Taboo. This was suicidal. If it did not succeed, both of Long Fei's body would die. There was no possibility of regeneration. This method was extremely crazy. Crack! The deathly still feeling energy in Long Fei's stomach started to throb, as if it was a fetus that had a heartbeat. Boom! Long Fei was ready. Now, all he was missing was this last bit of power. The god's suffering force combined with the power of main god and bombarded down. Rumble! The light halo spread out for trillions of kilometers and enveloped half of the god's martial continent, as if a powerful outer space force was forcefully passing through a planet. The scene was a complete mess. Hanba's eyes darkened. He's stronger than I had imagined. Despicable, shameless. This is a fair heaven to target a lower realm martial artist? This is the main temple who loves the world. Laughable, laughable, extremely laughable. I will definitely enter the ancient holy battlefield, and I must completely change the current situation. Main temple. Just you wait. He was very unhappy. He felt pity for Long Fei, because even the current him might not be able to withstand such a power, much less Long Fei. Right now, he wanted to enter the ancient holy battlefield to find that item and the magic tool to kill the sovereign. He wanted to go against the heavens and change the fate of these 100,000 wild universes. Long Fei, Xiao Fei, boss. Countless people were shouting. Their voices were so weak and pale. It was all over. It was as if their hearts had died. Amongst the dragon coffin, Long Fei clenched his teeth, all the blood vessels in his body bursting out. The energy of the 10th level of the god's bone taboo devoured him, and the strong impact of the god's suffering force made Long Fei feel like he was suffering a fate worse than death, as streams of energy exploded from his sea of consciousness. Long Fei became more and more determined. I can't die. I absolutely cannot die. I want to destroy the so-called heavens and the so-called main temple. I can't die. The energy in his body became more and more active as it crazily throbbed, just like a child in his stomach. Ding. System notification. Player's cultivation method is broken. Ding. System notification. Player's war pet system has been broken. Ding. System notification. Player's striking system has collapsed. Ding. System notification. Player's beast transformation system has cracked. As wave after wave of power blasted down, Long Fei's system powers crumbled, his cultivation technique crumbled, and all of his techniques turned to ash and disappeared. The war pet system crumbled. All of the war pet were out of Long Fei's control, including the trolls. The instant the war pet system crumbled, Xiao Bai, Ice and Fire, could clearly sense the feeling of Long Fei being separated from them. The giant demons, earth demons, Lei Mo, and Fei all clearly sensed this feeling. Boss, master, he roared. To them, this meant that Long Fei was already dead. I can't feel my boss anymore. Boss, No, boss will definitely be fine. Xiao Bai rushed forward recklessly, and before he could even get close, he was swept away by a ray of light. He was unable to approach his cultivation. It could be said, Xiao Bai crawled up from the ground, but he still crazily rushed forward. From the moment he was born, the moment he opened his eyes, the first thing he saw was Long Fei following him. He was continuously sent flying. Everyone's hearts sank. Amongst the dragon coffin. Boom! Ding! System notification. Player's body is about to break. Even the devil body can't withstand it. He can't even absorb that energy in his stomach. Long Fei trembled a little, his face a little pale. At a time like this, he really did not want to die. But now, he no longer had any power to resist. He couldn't take it either. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for successfully condensing the embryo. Would you like to release it? Doubt embryo? What is this? Is it something inside me? Long Fei did not have the heart to check on these. As long as he was alive, regardless of whether he was a Tao embryo or a nascent soul, there was only one thing he needed to do. Live. Release. Buzz. The moment his voice fell, Long Fei suddenly entered a brand new world, a world he had never been to before, as though he was in an illusion. It also seemed like he was in a mother body. What is this? Where's this place? Long Fei didn't know. He only knew that the god's suffering force was leaving him far, far away, and slowly disappearing. At this moment, a system notification rang out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for rebirth. Chapter 1128, He is Still Alive. Chapter 1128, He is Still Alive, God's Martial Continent. Everything returned to calm. God's general's body disappeared into thin air, and the god's suffering force that was wreaking havoc in the sky disappeared. If it wasn't a pile of ruins, it would seem as if nothing had happened. The entire world turned silent. Everyone looked at the dragon coffin. Standing in place, he did not dare to move, did not even dare to think, did not even dare to think about the consequences, and did not dare to think whether or not Long Fei was still inside. For a full 10 minutes. There were no sound from the dragon coffin S, and Song Qianqian and the others did not move either. Finally, Xiaobai couldn't help but walk forward step by step as if he was facing a great enemy. He carefully approached the dragon coffin and lightly called out, "Boss." There was no response from the dragon coffin. Xiaobai's voice rose a little, "Boss." There was still no response from the dragon coffin. Xiaobai's body was trembling as he looked at the people behind him. He gathered his courage and gently pushed the dragon coffin away. At this moment, everyone held their breath, clenched their fists, and silently prayed. However, the instant Xiaobai's claws touched the dragon coffin, Walala, the dragon coffin turned into powder, and with a light bang, it completely collapsed. Han Ba's gaze tensed up, and he softly uttered a question. Eh. The rest of them ran over as if they had gone mad, and shouted, "Long Fei, Long Fei, Long Fei." As if he had done something wrong, Xiaobai laid on the ground. His claws continuously piled up the powder the dragon coffin had dropped on the ground, and said with a trembling voice, "It's not like that, it's not like that. It must be my hallucination. Boss will be fine. Boss will definitely be fine." He seemed to have gone crazy. They kept talking, shouting, and shouting. A disciple of the Long family. Dragon ancestor in the sky. Song Qianqian and the others. The giant demons and the others all rushed forward. The dragon coffin quickly turned into powder. There was nothing inside other than a pile of powder. A cool breeze blew past. The powder scattered along with the wind, causing Song Qianqian and the other girls to become even more crazy. They frantically grabbed onto it. It won't, it won't, it won't. His tears were about to run out. They could not accept such a scene. Lu Luoshi's body went limp, and he immediately fainted. The leopard girl was stunned on the spot. Her face was pale, and she could not say a single word. Yin'er cried loudly as she tried to sense the surroundings and use the blood vein to check the surroundings. He could not sense a single bit of Long Fei's aura, and it had completely disappeared. Long Fei's future was blank. There was nothing at all. It was as if there was no one in this world. If it did not exist, it meant that he was already dead. Yin'er cried. Everyone was crying. Impossible. No reason. Even if the main artifact encountered the power of the main artifact, it would not be blasted apart. If it were to be blasted to pieces, then it would not be a main artifact anymore. Han Ba did not move. He had been thinking about this all along. And then, Han Ba landed lightly and carefully examined the dragon coffin powder. After a few seconds of silence, a glint suddenly flashed in his eyes as the corner of his mouth hooked up and he laughed out loud. "Ha ha, good boy, you truly surprised me, huh? It's not simple. It's not simple. Using the power of heaven to resist heavenly tribulation. He's really fierce." Cough, cough. Han Ba coughed lightly and said, "Don't cry anymore, you silly girl. Your boss, your man is not dead yet. Don't worry." As soon as his voice fell, the surrounding voices suddenly became silent. Xiaobai immediately asked, "Master, then where did my boss go?" Han Ba replied, "I don't know about that. I only know that he isn't dead yet. As for where he went, I'm not sure." However, the corner of Han Ba's mouth revealed an excited smile and said, "Now I have something to play around with. After being baptized by the great perfection's heavenly tribulation, how strong will he become? Ha ha ha. This is something I really look forward to. However, smelly brat, you actually took away the main artifact. You clearly promised to leave it with me." Han Ba said. When he spoke, he was smiling. He didn't even know when the tears had appeared in the corners of his eyes. Han Ba looked into the sky and muttered, "Boy, it's good that you're alive. Heh." And then, the aura of strength from Han Ba's body moved and said faintly, "No matter where you are, your final destination is still the divinity. Long Fei, I will wait for you in ancient holy battlefield. Together, we will break this world structure, trample the heavens beneath our feet." Ha! Han Ba's voice sunk as she shouted, "If you want to find him, there is only one way, to become stronger. He is no longer in the gods' martial continent. If you want to find him, Then train with all your might and break through the shackles of the gods' martial continent. Next up, I'll stay here for 3 years. I'll pass on some special powers to you. The amount you can learn will depend on yourselves. In another place, Buzz. Inside the Sky Patrol ship's deity's lake. Yin Huang ancestor's body was completed. A middle-aged man walked out of the divine pond and said with a slight smile, "Long Fei, I'll see you at Chaos Realm." His body moved. The Yin Huang ancestor tore through the sky. His primordial spirit belonged to the Chaos Realm, so it was not restricted by the laws of the gods' martial continent and directly flew into the air and disappeared. Your son is still alive. Now, you can hand over your soul in peace, death space. Long Zhanting's heart relaxed slightly, and then Long Zhanting asked, "Last question, if you can answer, I will immediately hand over my soul." Death did not seem to be annoyed. "Go ahead and ask." Long Zhanting asked, "Where did my wife go?" The god of death pondered for a moment and said, "This question, I'm sorry, I can't answer that." Long Zhanting was startled. This question was already very clear, and being unable to answer, it was the best answer. She had gone to a plane of higher level than the divinity. Long Zhanting said, "Then can you tell me where 8 King Kong is?" The god of death smiled and replied, "They are on the road to rebirth. Don't worry, all of their strengths have been enhanced. Their appearance hasn't changed at all. If your son were to see them, he would definitely recognize them. What I'm afraid of now is they don't know your son." "Ha! Can you hand over your soul now?" Death was a little excited. Long Zhanting faintly said, "Sure." And then Long Zhanting's consciousness moved. At this time, Death God's eyes flashed with a bright light, revealing an extremely greedy gaze, instantly devouring Long Zhanting's soul. But in this instant, Death's eyes suddenly changed. Long Zhanting, you. Who is the king now? Who is the king now? Ding. System crash. Ding. System initialization. Ding. System has completed the initialization. Ding. System upgrade. System beep S kept appearing in his mind. Finally, a progress bar appeared in his mind. The progress bar for upgrading the system was like a game update, moving forward bit by bit. It wasn't very fast. Where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Boom! Long Fei's spirit sense suddenly exploded. His body fiercely flicked. He jumped up from the ground, gasping for breath, his entire body drenched in sweat, his clothes soaked. There was also a sharp pain in his abdomen. The moment he opened his eyes, he was surrounded by a circle of people. He didn't die. He didn't die. He didn't die. Damn, he actually didn't die. Ha ha ha. Wang Tai, you have lost, you have lost. Give me money. Give me money. Mother of asterisk Kerr, I'm going to kill him. I don't care if you kill him or not, but you have to pay him first, understand? Give me money. Give me money. The surrounding crowd clamored. The people around Long Fei also quickly retreated and joined the clamoring. Wang Tai, you can't even kill a piece of trash, and you've caused us to lose so much money. F asterisk CK, Lousy will accompany you. Wang Tai, a person like you, some kind of outer disciple of the Yuan Yang clan, you really embarrass the Yuan Yang clan. Countless people clamored. Countless people cursed. Long Fei sat on the ground and looked around. He had a feeling as if the sky was spinning and the earth was spinning. The noise made him extremely irritable as he shouted loudly, "Where the hell is this?" However, no one answered him. The surroundings looked like a huge underground boxing ring. He was in a cage. At this moment, the 2 burly men walked into the cage. 009, I didn't expect your life to be so tough. You survived this time. What luck. Damn it, I lost 300 taels. The sturdy man then kicked Long Fei, causing 2 cracking sounds that caused his bones to break. A heart-wrenching pain spread throughout his entire body. And then, the 2 big-sized men dragged Long Fei out by one leg from the cage. Long Fei wanted to smash his palm onto the big-sized man's back. This kind of person who dared to make a move on him was not even alive yet. He suddenly exerted strength. One palm was aiming for his life, But he suddenly realized that he had no strength left. His palm struck the big-sized man's back, felt like scratching an itch. Moreover, the big-sized man was enraged as he turned around and threw a punch at Long Fei's face. He shouted angrily, "You dog, you're courting death, aren't you?" Bam! After punching Long Fei down, the back of his head smashed into the ground. Bam! His entire brain began to click, and he fainted. Before he fainted, Long Fei stared at the big-sized man and thought, "I will remember you." That big guy yelled, "What are you looking at?" "Be careful, your father might dig out your eyes." The sound became indistinct and Long Fei fainted again. After an unknown period of time, only when a bucket of cold water was poured on his face did he suddenly wake up. His entire body was ice cold, in great pain, and his body couldn't help but shiver. He took a look at his surroundings. Within the pitch-black iron prison, there were several people lying in the darkness. It was unknown whether they were alive or dead. Outside of the iron cage, a big man threw the wooden bucket to the side and coldly snorted, "009. You did a good job today. The boss made a lot of money. This is for you from the boss." The big man took out a small porcelain bottle. He wanted to throw it in, but in the end he stopped and took out 2 thin pills from all over the bottle. He coldly sneered, "What kind of pills do a slave like you want? 2 are mine. Take this healing pill for yourself." After throwing the bottle, the big man sneered and left. The instant his figure disappeared, the darkness of the cage suddenly erupted and countless figures madly ran towards that small porcelain bottle. Everyone's eyes were as if they were devouring a human. Each of them was as thin as a mummy. "Get out of my way, this is mine. It's mine. He's mine." A large group of people charged forward, like a pack of fierce wolves with fierce gazes. Long Fei was very surprised, because there were many more people hidden in the darkness than he had imagined. Seeing them rushing forward with no regard for their own safety, their target was that small pill, which Long Fei did not even take seriously in the past. But now, he needed pills. He needed this healing pill. At this moment, he held back the pain and grabbed the vial. At this moment, everyone stopped and looked at Long Fei. Long Fei said coldly, "This is mine." As soon as he finished, a voice came from the darkness and said coldly, "This is not yours. Everything in this iron prison, including your life, is mine." While they were talking, a huge figure slowly stood up and walked out of the darkness. Tall and sturdy, with a height close to 3 meters, ordinary people were like villains in front of him. Everyone in the iron prison was extremely skinny, except for him, who was sturdy, thick, and muscular. He was the king of this iron prison, Neodashin. Just like its name, its body was as sturdy as a mountain. When he walked out, all the people who came to snatch started to slowly retreat, their faces filled with fear, as though they were watching a good show. Neodashin walked over and coldly said, "Brat, hand it over." "And if I don't?" Long Fei's gaze tensed up. Neodashin clenched his fists tightly, and the key point was that a series of explosions occurred. He glared at Long Fei and said, "You can try." "You dare to challenge Ox Bro? Are you tired of living? Kid, why don't you take a look at this place?" Chapter 11:30, Telling the Bull to Explosion. Chapter 11:30, Telling the Bull to Explosion. If one was not ruthless, one would not be able to stand steadily. The system is upgrading and cannot be used. The cultivation technique system had collapsed and was unable to be used. If one's body was severely injured, one's strength would be wasted. In this situation, even 10 of them were not Neodashin's match. If he wanted to win, he would have to deal a fatal blow. Long Fei's technique was very dirty, but it was the most effective fatal strike. With great force on his right hand, he shouted, "Who is the king now?" Neodashin was in so much pain that he broke out in a cold sweat. Long Fei exerted his strength once again and said gloomily, "Do you believe that I won't pinch your eggs until they shatter?" Gloomy, terrifying. They had never seen such a gaze before, nor did they know that a sheep like Long Fei would suddenly turn into a fierce tiger. Everyone was shocked. Neo Dashin immediately softened and said, "No, no, no. Brother, you are the king. You are the king. You are the king here. If anyone dares to touch you, I swear I will kill them." Neo Dashin was really afraid. He could feel a hidden killing intent from Long Fei. Long Fei's gaze swept across them and said coldly, "All of you better ****king listen up. Right now, your father is king." Finished. Long Fei's hands loosened. He did not retreat, but stared at Neo Dashin. Neo Dashin's hands covered his crotch, and his body trembled as he retreated several steps. Right now, he didn't even dare to look Long Fei in the eye. It was like trying to eat someone. Long Fei slowly swallowed the healing pill in front of everyone. Following that, Long Fei slowly walked back to the wall and sat down. He closed his eyes and kept asking himself, what exactly happened? What's going on? Didn't the system remind me that I've been reborn? This is called rebirth. This is not my body at all, and where the ****ck is this? Long Fei couldn't wrap his head around it, and he didn't have any memories about this world in his mind either. The feeling it gave him was the feeling of teleportation. But Long Fei knew clearly in his heart that this was not teleportation. If this was teleportation, then it would be much more dangerous than the first time, because he could feel the looks of disdain and anger from the surroundings, and they were all staring at him. They couldn't accept it. Long Fei got the upper hand just like that. Neo Dashin curled up at the side as he screamed in a low voice, "TL, Brother Neo, you're letting this kid get the upper hand just like that? Ox bro, give this kid some color now. Ox bro, why didn't you let me do it? If I knock him down." As they were discussing, Long Fei's eyes were wide open, carrying a dense killing intent. He said with a heavy voice, "Whoever dares to make the slightest sound, I'll kill them." As soon as his voice faded, Long Fei swept his gaze across. He had to be intimidated, or else he would turn the tables. Now, Long Fei could use his aura to suppress them. Once again, his monkey steals peach definitely wouldn't work. Neo Dashin instantly stopped his blood-curdling screech, and even carefully controlled his breathing, not daring to randomly let out. The surrounding people saw that Neo Dashin had also calmed down and did not dare to make another sound. Long Fei leaned against the wall and pretended to close his eyes to rest, but he did not dare to do that, as he was on guard at all times. Half an hour later, Neo Dashin, hearing Long Fei's call, Neo Dashin immediately ran over and asked, "Boss, what's the matter?" He was truly afraid. Long Fei slightly asked, "What place is this?" Neo Dashin was startled. "Boss, you even forgot about this place?" Long Fei glared at him. Neo Dashin immediately did not dare to ask any further and said, "This is Yuan Yang Clan's underground fighting underground dungeon. Yuan Yang Clan, Water City, underground combat dungeon." Long Fei felt that all of this was extremely strange. He was sure that this place was definitely not the gods' martial continent from before, but a completely different world. Long Fei asked, "What is the name of this plane?" Everyone was stunned. He whispered, "What's going on? Have you forgotten where we are? Has he been beaten, silly? Someone must have gone crazy." Neo Dashin let out a heavy cough, and the surroundings immediately quietened down. Reporting to boss, "This is the Chaos Realm." Chaos Realm. Long Fei stared at him. "I'm a Chaos Realm." His face was filled with shock. When the final heavenly tribulation descends, the Tao embryo is released. It actually brought me to the Chaos Realm. Long Fei was secretly shocked, and in that moment, rumble. Long Fei's sea of consciousness suddenly exploded, just like a small universe exploding. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for successfully upgrading the system. System upgrade completed. System, Striking System version 1. 0 player. Long Fei level. 0 holy source. 10-point skill path. None striking value. 100 points lucky value. 10 points war pet. None partner. None sect. God's martial sect. Sect leader. And seal. Everything was exactly the same as Long Fei's first teleportation, where the system was upgraded. However, Long Fei did not feel any changes to the system, since the biggest change was he had nothing. However, as long as the system was in his possession, he was not afraid. No matter what the world was, the system was in his hands. Moreover, red light flashed in his mind. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for having entered the Chaos Realm and received a special reward. Long Fei moved and clicked it. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the spiritual void ring. Rup, this is Lousy's thing to begin with. How can this be called a reward? Can you be any more darned? It was also at this time. The system beep sounded again. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Hell's 18th floor broken. Do you wish to integrate it into your body? It's mine too. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Devouring Vein. Do you wish to fuse it? Damn it. System, can you not be so darned? Would you like something practical? Give 1 trillion of experience to me. Your father will directly stand at the peak of Chaos Realm. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the main artifact, Dragon Coffin. F***K, it's all my stuff. System, are you messing with me? Cursed, he was truly depressed. Everything was sown. Could this even be considered as a reward? A scam was more like it. At this time, the system beep sounded out again. Ding! The main artifact, Dragon Coffin, started filling up its energy for the second time and started evolving. Buzz! At this moment, Long Fei suddenly realized that all the things he had just acquired had changed. A few seconds later, ding! Main artifact, Dragon Coffin, second evolution completed. Seeing that he had completed the evolution of the main artifact, Long Fei's blood started to boil with excitement. This is telling me to go to heaven. He had to force the thing to explode. Chapter 1131, Golden Cudgel. Chapter 1131, Golden Cudgel, main artifact Dragon Coffin, were divided into several levels of evolution. The first level is where the main gun evolved. One cannon will lock on. Who cares if you're South Sky or North Earth? Directly kill. However, the conditions for it to open up was 5 domain treasures. It's hard. How many domain treasures did a plane have? To use the first level was truly difficult. What would the second level be? Long Fei had been looking forward to it ever since he had obtained the main artifact. Now that he had opened it, it was not to evolve into a beautiful female warrior, nor was it an upgraded version of the main gun. A shiny stick. A stick that Long Fei was extremely familiar with. A stick that was well known throughout the world. A monkey stick. It's called the Golden Cudgel. Long Fei was dumbstruck. He was stupefied. If he did not see the 5 big words on the staff, Long Fei would not know. Golden Cudgel, this fucking handsome guy is going to drop to the ground. He's definitely going to go to heaven. It's Great Sage Qi Tian's weapon. Immersion Needle. I just want to ask, who else is there? Long Fei started to mutter incoherently. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Golden Cudgel. Do you want to preserve this second evolution? Wait! Long Fei did not save it immediately. The Golden Cudgel is indeed strong. With a swing of the staff, it would probably be an existence that will destroy the heavens and the earth. I have witnessed the might of the main gun. One shot broke through the void, passed through several planes, and directly killed the main body. If you were to preserve the second stage of evolution, would there still be the function of a main gun? This is very important. Although Long Fei did not have any domain treasures left, the Chaos Realm was connected to a countless number of lower planes. At that time, it was also possible to open the main gun. Ding! System notification. The main artifact can only keep one state, but it has all the functions. If the player wants to use the first stage, the function can be changed to the first stage. Long Fei's eyes shook and said slightly. After evolving, the system will be different. To actually be able to explain seems like the 1.0 version of the system has improved a lot. The previous system would never have done this. The system looked like it had not leveled up yet. but it was actually completely different. Many of the functions could only be activated after Long Fei activated them. Say Phase 2. Long Fei moved. A flash of golden cudgel halo quietly floated above Long Fei's space ring. If the second stage is the evolution of golden cudgel, then what is its function? The first level is the main gun. What about its functions? Long Fei immediately opened up the system to check. However, the system displayed a question mark, but it did not specify whether or not Long Fei had to activate it. The golden cudgel. Does Laozi want to become the great sage Qi Tian? Maybe one day, when I devour the blood vein of a monkey, I will be able to activate its power. If that's the case, Long Fei started to get excited, and when he thought about that scene, he became inexplicably excited. His mind was filled with the scene of the son, Wukong, running amok. Of course, it was before he met Monk Tang. They beat up the little demoness who did not have a backer. They were all too useless along the way, and if they wanted to do it, they had to do it with the strongest person they could possibly have. Furthermore, Long Fei's eyes turned sinister as he looked at the sky and muttered, "I will definitely trample you. I will definitely flip Main Temple over. I swear." Other than the 18th floor of Hell, Devouring Vein, and other similar things like Main Artifact, there was another thing that was not mentioned by the system, but it was in Long Fei's body. It was a power that even Long Fei himself had neglected. It was being nurtured in his body. This was the power produced by the baptism of heavenly tribulation at the Great Perfection stage. Right now, it was like a seed being nurtured in Long Fei's body, and when it grows into a sprout, Long Fei would understand the power of heavenly tribulation after its baptism. All night, Long Fei was all excited. He was even more excited than when he crossed over to God's Martial Continent on the first day. At the same time, he also understood his current situation. Yuanyang clan was the overlord of this area. He controlled 18 large cities within a radius of 5 million kilometers. The water city he was in was one of the 18 cities. He was a slave without name. Number 009. His role was for the children of nobility to enjoy themselves. There were some aristocratic juniors that were specialized in new cultivation techniques and moves. They would be used to test their strength. Just like the Wang Tai in the cage today, he was a descendant of an aristocrat of Water City, and was even a nominal disciple of an outer sect of Yuanyang clan. King Kong Fist. A third-grade battle fist had the strength of 50,000 jin. One punch was enough to smash a thick granite rock into pieces. However, was extremely unhappy that they did not kill him. What made him even more unhappy was that he was holding a ball of fire in his heart, losing face in front of so many people. Water City, Wang family. Wang Tai blew a few wooden piles into pieces. The muscles on his body seemed to have exploded. His face was full of anger, and he shouted, "You disgrace me. I will definitely kill you." A person who looked like a butler said, "Young Master Tai, killing him is easy, but the key is that we have to get back at him. I've already contacted him." 3 days later, there will be a large beast battle arena, and the entire city will be watching it. When that happens, you can use your King Kong fist to release a strong breeze. Who would dare to stop you? The butler said excitedly. The people of Water City were very aggressive. There were dozens of underground fighting grounds. Moreover, there is also a huge coliseum in the city, specially designed to please the nobles and senior executives. There were beasts fighting, and people fighting. Wang Tai's eyes darkened and asked, "Will the slave number 009 participate?" The steward immediately said, "Young Master Tai, don't worry. He will definitely attend. I have long arranged for him to do so." Wang Tai smirked and said, "All right, brat, prepare to die." The butler took a step forward and whispered, "Young Master Tai, I heard that this time there is still the Yuan Yang clan's Elders Guild. A nominal disciple and an official disciple had two completely different meanings. If he could become an official disciple, then his status would be completely different." Wang Tai's eyes flashed with a trace of light. The corners of his mouth slightly hooked up and excitedly laughed and said, Hee hee. In 3 days, I must raise the power of the King Kong fist. Chaos Realm, at another unknown place. A middle-aged man closed his eyes and took a deep breath, his face filled with excitement as he muttered, Chaos Realm, I'm finally back. Finally, I'm back. Chapter 1132 Wah, Boss. Chapter 1132 Wah, Boss. How can I get out of here? Long Fei asked. He did not want to stay in this cage. Neodashin said, No one can leave this place. There's only one type of person that can, and that is the dead. That was the fate of slaves. Once you're branded with a slave imprint, you will never be able to get rid of it. Long Fei's chest had a slave symbol on it. They could only be the target of other people's playfulness, a human sandbag. Only the dead would be thrown into the cemetery like trash, torn apart by wild dogs. Long Fei said, Have you never tried it before? Neodashin laughed bitterly. The person who tried was already dead. Who would still dare to try? At this moment, a strong light shone from the iron cage. A pot-bellied man walked down step by step. In the darkness, he was like a giant lantern shining with golden light. At this moment, Long Fei's eyes suddenly lit up with excitement. Wow, boss. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for triggering the quest. Mission: lead the slaves out of here. Grade: B time, 10 days reward, 3,000 experience points, 300 holy source, 1 special item obtained. Ding! Do you accept? Long Fei didn't even think before replying. I accept it, of course I accept it. Seeing the excitement in Long Fei's eyes, Neodashin immediately asked in a low voice, Boss, what are you so excited about? Long Fei replied, Just excited. Neodashin continued, Boss, don't look at him. The boss hates it when people stare at his face the most. Boss, don't look at his face now. Long Fei did not retract his gaze, but continued to stare at the slave owner, his eyes gleaming and his heart becoming excited. Chaos Realm's first boss, you still want me to not take another look? At this moment, a man next to the slave owner shouted and threw out a stream of power. Boom! Seeing that, for some reason, Neodashin stepped forward and blocked in front of Long Fei. Boom! Neodashin's body was sent flying and crashed into a thick iron wall. The iron wall caved in, and Neodashin's chest shook and split open as he could not help but spur out a mouthful of blood. Long Fei frowned. Are you all right? Neodashin wiped the blood off his mouth and said, I'm fine. Long Fei's gaze turned towards the man who just attacked, and his gaze darkened slightly. The man shouted, What are you looking at? Long Fei laughed coldly. I'm not looking at anything. I just want to remember your appearance. The man's gaze turned cold. Remember my appearance? Long Fei replied, That's right. When the time comes, I'm afraid I'll kill the wrong person. Kid, are you looking to die? The man's eyes were filled with anger. The power in his hands suddenly moved and was about to strike Long Fei. At this moment, the slave owner said coldly, Stop. The man beside him immediately retracted his power, not daring to disobey. The slave owner stared at Long Fei and said, Brat, 3 days later, there will be a large-scale beast gathering. If you can survive from the competition, you and these people will be able to live well. But if you die, the slave owner revealed a sinister smile. The fatty behind you and the trash around you will all die. One of the slaves immediately said, Fighting beasts are extremely dangerous. It's fine if you just let 009 die, but why do you need to bring us along? We don't want to die. Boss, 009 is a piece of trash. If he goes, that means he's throwing his life away. Boss, I'm begging you, just kill him. 009, don't implicate us. If I were you, I would just kill myself. Do you want to survive the beast battling competition? A slave? This was an impossible task. No one would let a slave survive the beast assembly. The audience would not agree. Even if the audience agreed, the gladiators in the Colosseum would not agree. The demon beast would not agree. From the founding of the Beast Warrior Guild until now, not a single slave had survived. Whoever went would die. It was simply impossible for Long Fei to return alive. At this moment, Neodashin clenched his fists tightly and said, "Boss, let him go. My cultivation is stronger than his. I can help." Not waiting for him to finish, the slave owner's eyes turned sinister. The man beside him sent another stream of energy flying. Suddenly, it was as fast as lightning. Long Fei simply could not react. It was the same for Neodashin. The difference in cultivation level was too huge. They were not on the same level and were simply not his opponents. Boom! Neodashin was sent flying again, crashing into the previously caved-in iron wall. This time, the injury was even more severe. Several ribs on his chest were broken, and his face was as pale as thin paper. He spurted a few mouthfuls of blood consecutively. The slave owner coldly laughed and said, "Well, now that you are seriously injured, you won't be able to participate, right?" "Ha!" The slave owner laughed coldly. Two eyes turned to stare at Long Fei and said, "Kid, if not for someone calling for you to come out, you would already be dead. Humph. 3 days later, you die. These people will die with you. Do you understand?" Finished. The slave owner sneered and turned away. The expert coldly looked at Long Fei, revealed a scornful cold smile, and followed him out. Everyone looked at Long Fei. His eyes were filled with hatred. 009, kill yourself. Right. Only if you die will the boss let us live. Long Fei ignored him. He knew that everyone wanted to live, even in a place like this where life was better than death, so he did not say anything. Was not moved. When the slave shouted, "Trash, am I talking to you? Are you deaf?" Not waiting for him to finish. Suddenly, Long Fei took a step forward, and with a move of his right hand, he instantly grabbed onto the man's throat. With a fierce charge, he pushed the man onto the fence, raised him up into the air, and said coldly, "If you let me hear the word trash again, I will kill you, understand? Do you understand?" The slave's body trembled, and urine dripped from his crotch. He quickly nodded and said with a trembling voice, "Yes, yes, yes." Long Fei loosened his grip. The man sat down on the ground and was so scared that he almost cried. Long Fei swept his gaze across the iron prison and didn't hear a single sound. Long Fei walked to Neodashin's side and said, "I will use his life as compensation for these 2 strikes." Neodashin said, "Boss, don't be rash. That person is very strong. The slave owner is stronger, and also, I'm worried about the battle beast in 3 days." He did not continue, because Long Fei would die in the beast battling arena. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "Don't worry, I will definitely blow this place up." And then, Long Fei opened his space ring and said faintly, "It's time to level up." Chapter 1133, Eating Experience, Elixir Leveled Up, Great. Chapter 1133, Eating Experience, Elixir Leveled Up, Great. It was something from the gods' martial continent. Weapons, pills, immortal crystals were basically useless here, because these things were similarly restricted by the rules of the world, and even within the space ring S, they were the same. If one entered this world, they would become trash, just like how Long Fei was at the same realm. If he could teleport back to the gods' martial continent, he would still be in the 9th level of the flying immortal realm. But in the new plane, a higher plane, and with a different power of law, Long Fei would have to start anew after the baptism of heavenly tribulation. It was as if he had returned to the newbie village. This was not the case. Long Fei's strength had not changed, but she had changed the rules of this plane. Just like the Chaos Realm, the 9th level of the Flying Immortal stage was the lowest level of existence. Of course, there were also some special things that were not restricted by the laws of plane. Just like the main artifact Dragon Coffin, there were also things that came from higher planes. For example, Goddess Tier. It did not change at all. Another example, something that originally belonged to this Chaos Realm. For example, Experience Elixir. The black chest that the Bemin swept across the secret world's family members had been given to Long Fei, but the Experience Elixir was still on him. It never worked. It was not bound by the laws of the plane. Looking at the accumulated experience in the space ring, The corner of Long Fei's mouth quirked up into a smile. The idea moved. Devour. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for swallowing experience elixir. You have gained 100 experience points. Damn, only 100 experience points. What the F asterisk asterisk K? Long Fei was immediately unhappy. After all, those people from the Tian family were also from the Chaos Realm, so even if they weren't from the powerhouse, they wouldn't have at least 100 experience points, right? This time, the system did not give any explanation. 100 experience points were not a lot, but to Long Fei, no matter how small it would still be useless. I'll accept it. Again, Long Fei then moved his idea and swallowed one of it. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for swallowing experience elixir. You have received 100 experience points. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for swallowing experience elixir. You have received 100 experience points. The fifth system beep sounded. Long Fei's experience points instantly rose to 100%, and the system sounded out the leveling prompt. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, yellow level, level 1. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up and obtaining a special reward. The reward is Wind Godleg. Do you wish to cultivate it? Surprise! Long Fei's mind moved and immediately said, Cultivate. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for training Wind Godleg for obtaining a special reward of 10 experience points. Skill Path, Wind Godleg Grade, 9 Rank Deity Consumption, 10 Holy Source S Description, a single kick. Shocked. Long Fei's cultivation technique column finally had the first cultivation technique. At this moment, Long Fei looked at his personal stats. Player, Long Fei level, yellow rank level 1, yellow, profound, purple, spirit, sun, moon, star, and dawn, 3 sovereigns, sky, earth, and human rank above grade 1 to grade 9. Holy Source, 100-point skill path, Wind God Leg lucky value, 10 striking value, 100 war pet. None. Long Fei glanced at it for a bit, and then said, Continue. He began to frantically devour the experience elixir again. Swallowing them one by one, Long Fei's experience rapidly increased. 10 minutes later, Long Fei's level increased once again. Second grade yellow rank. Continue. Long Fei was just like a madman, constantly crazily devouring the experience elixir within the space ring. Another 15 minutes passed. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, yellow rank level, 3. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the top-tier cure pill as a reward. Long Fei took out a pellet and walked to Nyo Dashin's side, saying, Take this pellet. Nyo Dashin was startled. This is a cure pill. As soon as his voice faded, all the slaves in the iron prison surrounded them like a swarm of bees. All of them stared at the cure pill in Long Fei's hands, as if they were all staring at a monster. They didn't even blink, and many of them were gulping down their saliva. Isn't it just a cure pill? Is there a need for this? Long Fei muttered. He looked at the cure pill's attribute, which was a third-ranked pill. Apart from the effects of the treatment, there was no other use. But just its grade was enough to move any warrior's heart in Water City. Not long after that, the third-stage cure pill appeared. Extremely rare, even for level 3 cure pill. Just because he said he would give it away? Too willful. Nyo Dashin felt overwhelmed and quickly said, Boss, I can't. The cure pill are too precious. Boss, you have to participate in the beast gathering. With this pill on your body, you have to have an extra bit of hope in survival. Keep it for yourself. Long Fei shouted, I told you to eat. So be it. Do you still act like a man? Finished. Long Fei pressed his hand onto Nyo Dashin's. His first palm strike had blocked it for Long Fei. No matter how precious this pellet was, Long Fei would not hesitate to give it to him. Nyo Dashin was so touched that she was about to cry. Long Fei said, If you bear this palm attack for me, this pill should be yours. At this moment, The slaves by their sides were all regretting their decision. If they could take one palm from one cure pill, they would be willing to take 10. After Long Fei threw the pill down, he continued to swallow the experience elixir. 1 hour later. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, yellow rank level, 4. I leveled up again. Long Fei could feel the changes in his body and his strength every time he leveled up. At the same time as Long Fei leveled up, the power seed in his body also absorbed a huge amount of power, which slowly increased in strength bit by bit. Continue. Long Fei took a deep breath, looked at the remaining experience elixir S, and said, I wonder if I can level up one more level. The experience elixir swallowed them one by one. Right now, he needed to raise the level up to 100,000 experience points, which was equivalent to 1,000 experience elixir. 90%. Another wave of experience elixir has been devoured. 98%. When his experience points reached 99%, Long Fei looked at the last experience elixir in his hands. As long as he consumed this pellet, he would be able to level up immediately. But Long Fei did not do so. What did leveling up mean? It meant that he would have to revive once in place and stay at the most critical moment. This was his advantage. A battle beast is a chance. Long Fei secretly clenched his fists and kept the experience elixir away, then asked Neo Dashin about some things related to the beast battling arena. Following that, an escape plan appeared in Long Fei's mind. No one can leave this place alive. No slave can survive in the city. I can, because my name is Long Fei. Chapter 1134. The Beast Battling Competition. Chapter 1134. The Beast Battling Competition. The next 2 days, Long Fei practiced Wind God Leg. This was his only cultivation technique. He had to fully unleash the power of the Wind God Leg. The more he practiced, the more the surrounding people looked at him with respect. Furthermore, they had been wondering how Long Fei managed to break through. Why couldn't they understand Long Fei? Brother Nyo, how did Boss become so strong? Do you know? Brother Nyo, what level is Boss at now? Oxbro, Neo Dashin raged and shouted, Don't F*** King ask anymore. I don't know either. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Brat, come out. The 2 experts around the slave owner walked into the iron prison. They stared at Long Fei with contempt. Today is your good day, haha. Long Fei stood up. In 3 days' time, he was ready. Neo Dashin grabbed Long Fei and said, Boss, be careful. This cure pill, He did not consume the cure pill, but rather kept it. He was very clear in his heart that Long Fei needed this pellet even more than he did. However, the item that Long Fei had gifted him was never brought back. So he stuffed the cure pill back into the Li Palace's hands and said, You keep the pills, and also, rest assured, I will bring you out of here. Finished. Long Fei then walked out. He walked to the outside of the iron prison. The pot-bellied slave owner laughed coldly, stared at Long Fei and laughed contemptuously, then said coldly, Put him in the prison. The powerhouse kicked Long Fei in the back. Get in. Long Fei did not wait for him to kick his body. With a slight movement of his body, he walked straight into the cage. The powerhouse's foot failed to hit him, and his expression changed slightly. The slave owner did not take it seriously and said, Go to the beast fighting arena. Water City, Duke Palaces. Young Master Tai, the news is indeed true. That elder will really go to the beast battling arena to watch a show, the butler said excitedly. Wang Tai's eyes flashed, and he laughed. My chance has come, huh? As long as I become an official disciple of Yuan Yang clan, I want to destroy Water City. And then, one of the guards walked into the courtyard and said softly, Young Master Tai, it's just a set of King Kong fistests that old Master sent over. Master said not to let him down this time. Wang Tai was overwhelmed by the unexpected favor. Looking at the abnormally excited King Kong fistess, he said, Go back and tell my father I definitely won't let him down. Ha! With this pair of gloves, all martial artists below yellow level 6 will be crushed by me. Wang Tai was excited. His King Kong fist had already been cultivated to a certain realm. If it was combined with this pair of King Kong fist rooms, he would be invincible within the same realm. A beast fighting arena in the center of Water City. This was the bloodiest, most brutal, and most blood-boiling place. Almost everyone in the city had come. They liked that kind of violence, hoped that demon beast violence, liked the blood of humans, and enjoyed that kind of thrilling feeling. El de Young, why come to such a low-class place? This is a place where some slaves are fighting with the lower class. There are no good seedlings here. A simply dressed follower asked, puzzled. An elder stood beside him. He was simple and unadorned, with a dull expression on his face. It was impossible to tell that there was anything special about him. However, a wave of flame started to emit from under his feet. Those who were close to him were pushed away by a force of their own without anyone noticing. This was the powerhouse. Yang Yu smiled faintly. In this selection of Yuan Yang clan, I do not have a single disciple I can take out. All of the better disciples in the 18 cities below Yuan Yang clan have been taken away, so perhaps there will be a surprise here. What kind of surprise is this place? Genius disciples all possess powerful blood veins. This kind of slave, this kind of lowly person simply doesn't have any kind of blood vein talent. Then the follower grinned and said, Chaos Realm. The blood vein was the king. Blood vein decided to be a genius. Slaves usually did not have any blood vein inherent skill and could only be toyed with and played with by others. Yang Yu also knew. However, this was the last city in which he had gone down the mountain to search for the 18 cities. He had secretly observed all the slightly famous young geniuses within the city, but none of them had met his requirements. Today was the last day. If he couldn't find it, then he could only give up. Yang Yu sat down and said, Anew, since you have arrived, please rest assured. If not, just treat it as a competition to relax. Wind God leg. Wind element refinement. Let my speed drive the strength, and I'll shatter it in one blow. Long Fei continuously simulated wind god leg in his mind. After 2 days of hard work, his wind god leg proficiency had already reached level 2. His understanding of the wind god leg deepened. Suddenly, a voice echoed, We are here. Long Fei slightly raised his eyes. The black cloth on top of the cage was lifted, and around them was a damp and gloomy room that reeked of feces. The entire room was filled with the hair of demon beast. Clearly, this was not a place to imprison people. Long Fei said, This should be the place where the demon beast are imprisoned, right? The powerhouse found it funny and asked, Are you human? You're just a slave. Imprisoning you in the demon beast's room is your first time thinking highly of you. You must know that Trash's life is worse than a demon beast's. Do you understand? Trash. That powerhouse was filled with disdain. Long Fei slightly said, One more word. The powerhouse laughed. Trash. What's wrong? You want to kill me? If you have the ability to do so, you might as well survive the dope beast meat. Trash. In his eyes, Long Fei was already a dead person. No slave could survive the beast battling arena. No one. Long Fei's eyes darkened as he stared at the powerhouse. Clenching his fists tightly, he said coldly, Don't worry. I will look for you. Brat, do your best. Your life will determine the lives of your fellow prisoners. Don't let our boss down. The powerhouse laughed in disdain. And then he laughed and said, By the way, young Master Wang Tai asked for you to participate in the beast gathering. This time, he will let you have a taste of the King Kong fist. Ha ha. Finished. He walked away. Wang Tai appeared in Long Fei's mind. His eyes turned sinister as his killing intent surged. The best way to greet a world was death for Long Fei. I will use my blood to greet this world. Use your blood to let the people in this world know that I'm here. Long Fei leaned on the wall and waited quietly. His mind continued to calculate the wind god leg. Every time in the arena, it was extremely lively. Cheers came one after another. A host shouted, Battle Beast Association begin. Chapter 1135, Berserk Upgraded. This is awesome. Chapter 1135, Berserk Upgraded. This is awesome. The first round. 3-star Beowulf against 8 yellow rank level 3 slaves. As soon as his voice faded, the iron gate was opened in a flash. Roar! A wolf twice the size of an adult lion dashed out. A halo surrounded its legs, and its fur stood erect like steel needles. The moment he rushed to the center of the Colosseum, he let out a roar. Roar! It was as if he was venting his emotions. He was the king here. In another place, 8 yellow rank level 3 martial artists were pushed out. Their faces were pale, and they did not dare to look straight at the 3-star Beowulf in the center of the field. The moment they were pushed out, the 3-star Beowulf's eyes sunk, staring at the 8 people, water dripping out of its mouth, its front claws slightly digging into the ground. At this moment, its body rushed forward. Ha ha ha! It's here, it's here. How long will it take this time? I'll bet it won't take more than a minute. I bet 30 seconds. This 3-star Beowulf hasn't been fed for 7 days, and these 8 people will be eaten by him in an instant. Ha ha! That's good enough. Eat them. Eat them. The 8 of them did not dare to resist at all, and immediately fled the moment they saw the 3-star Beowulf pouncing towards them. But the door was already blocked, so they had no way out. Roar! Crack! One by one, the warriors' heads were bitten off and fresh blood spurted out. The sky wolf bit off their heads, and with a kacha-kacha sound, its entire body was swallowed up. Then, his speed changed, and he instantly changed his direction. Shwa! Another warrior was pushed to the ground, and he took a bite. Crack! Seeing the blood spurt out, the whole field was filled with cheers. The bloodier the blood, the more excited they were. Here, the law of the eating of men was even more vivid. No one would sympathize with the weak. In less than 30 seconds, all 8 warriors were eaten by the 3-star Beowulf. The fresh blood made them even more vicious, and in the end, the iron gate opened. The 3-star Beowulf walked slowly like a king back into the cage. Cheers broke out from the crowd. The following matches were all the same. Slaves against demon beast. The slaves were completely defeated, and all the slaves were ripped apart by the demon beast. Not a single one of them were able to survive. Every time, the audience on stage would be in an uproar. Boom! The next battle will be between our Water City's Duke Palace's young Master Wang Tai and a slave. As soon as he finished, the crowd immediately began to discuss this. Who's so unlucky to actually be able to fight against Wang Tai? This slave has really been struck with bad luck for 8 lifetimes. Ha ha! Wang Tai is a genius of the Water City and is even a disciple of the Yuan Yang clan. Water City Royal Palace was one of the strongest forces. Wang Tai was even the little genius of the Water City. Last time at the underground fighting arena, he did not manage to beat Long Fei to death with 3 punches, which made him very unhappy. Today, he wanted to fight Long Fei with his right fist and then challenge those demon beasts, wanting the Yuan Yang clan elders in the audience to prove himself. Wang Tai walked out from the passage, facing a proud smile. The other one, Long Fei, was pushed out of the arena by a wall and slowly walked to the center of the Colosseum. Looking at the corpses, bones, and blood, he smiled slightly and said, "This is the world I like." Ha ha! The more brutal and tyrannical it was, the more Long Fei liked it. He was a wolf. He was born to kill. In the instant that he stood in the center of the arena, he slightly raised his eyes, looked at the sky, and revealed an excited expression. At this moment, Wang Tai walked up, his entire body covered in armor. His pair of gloves were exceptionally eye-catching. He stared at Long Fei and sneered. "You bastard! Last time you were lucky. This time I'll kill you with 1 punch." There was a look of pride on his face. He was a noble in the Water City. He was born to be superior. Long Fei's expression changed as he stared at Wang Tai, and he said coldly, "I said it before, I will remember you." Wang Tai let out 2 heavy punches and said, "I will make you always remember me. When you reach Yama, just say that I was the one who killed you." Boom, boom. 2 powerful forces roared out. The sound of the King Kong fist. King Kong fist. The Wong family's third-rank cultivation technique, the King Kong fist. Furthermore, Wong Tai is wearing a set of King Kong fist. Then one of his punches would have been instantly killed. Instant kill, I want to instantly kill. The two fists that were as fierce as King Kong struck towards Long Fei's chest with unstoppable force. Moreover, Wong Tai's cultivation was at the 6th stage of the yellow rank. This punch of his was enough to wash away his shame, and he was determined to inskill Long Fei. If I don't instantly kill you, just consider it my loss. Kid, tremble under my King Kong fist. Extremely arrogant. However, Long Fei sneered. Is the King Kong fist awesome? Is a grade 3 cultivation technique incredible? The 3rd stage of the Chaos Realm is already so powerful. Then have a taste of my grade 9 divine martial arts. As soon as he finished, Long Fei's feet moved like the wind. He suddenly stepped forward, schwa. His figure transformed into a gust of wind. His right leg formed a whip as it fiercely swept downwards. Grade 3 cultivation technique? What about a grade 9 divine art? The difference was too great. In the audience, Yang Yu suddenly stood up. His eyes stared straight at Long Fei. His mind tensed up and could not help but say, so fast. Rumble. A kick landed on top of Wong Tai's head. A burst of power shot out. Crack! Wong Tai's body could not take it anymore and fell down on his knees. The kneecap shattered and fresh blood spewed out. It screamed like a pig being butchered. In the air, Long Fei's body froze in place. His right leg swept out, and with a flip of his body, his left leg swept out, heavily kicking at Wong Tai's neck. Boom! The power shot out. His body immediately flew out and continuously somersaulted. With the last loud sound, Wong Tai's head smashed into the wall, and half of his body hung outside. The health point above his head instantly bottomed out. A magnificent inskill, simple and crude. After these 2 KO moves, the entire scene of Long Fei being so handsome that he fell to the ground in pieces, the power of the wind godleg was so strong that it exploded. What was violent? This was it. Everyone could not react in time. Was this something that a human King did? They were all stunned on the spot, and their heads were turning numb. The entire beast battle arena was quiet, only hearing the fresh blood from Wong Tai's body dripping down one drop after another. The system beep rang. Long Fei moved a bit and released her striking energy value without hesitation. This is the first person I killed in Chaos Realm, so I naturally have to release my striking value. Explode more violently for me. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Wong Tai for obtaining 890 experience, 50 holy source, and 10 energy values. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining King Kong Fist. Do you wish to cultivate it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the King Kong Fist set. The system beep suddenly stopped here. Long Fei immediately said in bewilderment, Damn, this is Berserk? F*CK, you F*er. I'm going to rape your grandmother. It was at this moment. The system beep sounded again. Ding! Players release their striking energy value and obtain special items. Please choose the Domain Treasure Series, Water God Treasure Series, Heavenly Mystery Series, Game Series, Cartoon Series, Wyman Series, Myth Series, Mecha Series, Universe Unknown Series. Please choose. Long Fei was confused. Damn, is this the upgraded version of the striking system? You can still choose for yourself? Heavens, I'm going to explode, huh? I want to choose. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.